everyone, welcome to Babies with Knives. Today we're going to be playing Star Trek Adventures by Modiphius Entertainment. I'm Alice, aka Lala, and I'm going to be playing Vringsta Alxia, the Betazoid Lieutenant Commander XO of Starship, I believe it is USS
Libertas.
Libertas, yes, USS Libertas. With me today is our GM, Brandon Powers. He's also my co-host.
Howdy, everybody. I'll be playing all the red shirts and opponents.
Mm-hmm. And over on the right-hand side, we have Kevin Scarth. Hey, Kevin.
Hey, everyone. Today we'll be playing Lieutenant Commander Kanar, the Klingon Chief Security Officer of the Libertas.
And below him, we have Adam Myers, creator of Spheres of Power and Spheres of Might.
And I am How are we saying that? Bekai?
Bekai.
Sure.
Bekai, the Cardassian medical officer.
And we have prolific game writer Alexander Thomas. Hey, Alex.
Hi, I will be playing Kyle Gibbs, the Chief Science Officer of the USS.
Awesome. Well, Brandon, why don't you take us away?
Sure thing. The USS Libertas has been sent off on their very own, 5-year mission, basically, where they are moving around the edges of Federation space and going on to exploration missions and things like that past the known borders. They are, expecting some combats at times because they'll kind of be out on their own, but a lot of discovery. And you guys are going to be on I gave you guys the sheet. It is the same type of ship as the First Contact and Beyond Enterprise. And it has been set up specifically for that 5-year kind of mission, not set up with any specific, it's not going to war, it's not going to do anything, any one specific thing, but instead is set up so that it is useful in all sorts of different circumstances. And it is a sovereign class, the NCC 70419. You guys are, at the moment, being sent to the planet of Krol Kax, to pick up a group of scientists that has been there studying geothermal energy on the planet and the way that the native population has been using that geothermal energy. That is basically where we're going to be coming in with you guys as you arrive in the system out of warp speed. And one other thing. Beyond these 4 characters, you guys do have a ship full of people that are here. And so if you look on the character sheet that I provided for the Libertas, you will see that there's a crew support of 6. This means that you guys can call in 6 different characters throughout it. And so a great example of this would be Nurse Chapel or Lieutenant Barclay from 2 of the shows. These are people that are on the show and are very skilled individuals. They're not the same as you guys, but they can have different skills. So you can get up to 6 of those. And the way it generally will work is if in a scene, Kanar's like, oh, I'm dealing with this thing, my character wouldn't go on to that scene. And there's a reasonable thing for another person from the Libertas to come with you guys. We can quickly make up a character for him that's a supporting character. And so that you guys can have up to 6 of those supporting characters as we go on.
Red shirt generator.
Yes, though, Barclay and such was not a red shirt. Like I say, they are awesome in their own regards.
I think of them as those characters that aren't in every episode, but eventually have that highlight one where they're trapped in the holodeck.
Yeah, Rom is a great one on DS9 as well as Nog. Keiko would be another high example of it.
O'Brien started out being that. That was their original intention for O'Brien, and then he just gained so much popularity that it changed. So, I know, I'm a geek.
So, Vringsta,
Mm-hmm.
you are currently, at not at the helm, but you are currently the officer on duty.
Okay.
As you guys are arriving here and all.
Okay. Uh, Alxia to Veers. Alxia to Veers. Tap my comm. Let the captain know that we have arrived.
You're going to be running most of this.
Okay.
Veers was not the captain. Veers
Oh, okay.
was the counselor. You were the highest character on authority created.
Okay. Well, yeah, I thought that you decided that we were going to have Veronica be
I kind
No.
of like.
captain. Okay.
No, I was going to say I'll vote for an NPC captain.
Okay. Well, then I will call my support team. So I will call Officer Gibbs, Officer Bakai, and Officer Kanar up to the.
They're probably on the bridge with you,
Cool.
unless they have somewhere else that they needed to be right now.
Okay. Well, then at that point, I will open hailing frequencies and contact the scientists.
Okay.
And
So,
before that, I will tell Officer Kanar, prepare for an away mission. Prepare for away
Noted.
team. Okay.
All right. Is there actually a reason why the doctor would be going down on this away team?
Yeah, they may need medical assistance. Plus, this is a research. This is a research facility with science and medicine and stuff like that. So we might need your expertise in
Okay.
transportation.
Okay.
You know,
you can
containment
always
of items.
You can always go for that supporting character for a time if you do want that. But not pushing that by any means. Well, I think that and the time period. This is after Voyager has been lost for a time after the Dominion War, kind of time period. Just for everybody's information, the ship class probably gave a lot of people that kind of idea, but just specifically where we are.
Mm-hmm.
Why don't we, if we're opening hailing frequencies, and unfortunately I don't know all the role combinations that are specifically outlined, but why don't we? I figured that's probably going to be Gibbs that is at the computer guy of the ship.
Sounds good. He's at the comms right now.
Yeah. And so why doesn't he give me a role? And that would probably be like a, I think, control con type of role for reaching them.
So I roll 2d20s.
Mm-hmm. Roll low.
Oh, I got a 1 and a 4.
Okay, so that sounds like you've come up with 3 successes. And also one thing about Star Trek, people should know the results of their failures or their possible failures before they start their role, because you guys are all seasoned officers. And so if there's, I didn't talk about it here, but, if, I guess we do have at least one that is a fairly new miss.
Yeah. I actually have the trait here, untapped potential. I'm a young officer and inexperienced.
Yep.
For Kyle, he's actually got 4 successes, Brandon. He's got a con of 4, and he's got computers. So he just, as a focus. So therefore, he's actually got 4 successes.
So those were both critical
Double
successes.
Crit.
Now, Kyle's using the computers right now, and he is a computer specialist. So I know that most of his talents are in the computer field. Do any of those talents help you right now, or perhaps in your role on the ship?
I've got computer expertise and dedicated focus computers.
On that text file that I gave you guys, is there anything that what they tell you?
So
each d20 that generates 2 successes also generates 1 bonus moment.
Ooh, one bonus momentum. Yay!
So is that
Did you do one roll and earn us like 5 momentum?
Yeah. I think he might have just gotten us
This
that.
was a difficulty 0 task, effectively, and I'm doing it kind of just to get us started and see how rolls are working. And so, yes, he has generated a ton of momentum with his computer
Oh, you want me to call him? I'll
expertise.
call him, Cap.
So,
You type so well.
Oh, I'd also like to point out we have 4 players, so Brandon starts with 8 threat.
yes, I do. Because I'm a
It is the most high
person.
definition video conference of all time.
Apparently. Thank you, Officer Gibbs.
All right.
You're welcome.
So,
They're
yes.
they're available and ready for.
I was just skimming through what Kyle's got, and so going to momentum. Did the thing that I gave you guys not tell you what you can spend it on? That would be most unfortunate.
Momentum can be spent on a variety of things, including buying extra dice when you need more successes. So, momentum can be used to improve odds. That's one of the things that you can do. I forget the others right now. So yeah.
Yeah, you can ask additional questions,
momentum?
things like that.
Yep.
Is momentum something that you have to use in the moment, or is it something that you could pull?
So we pool it, but after each scene, it depletes a little bit. So if we didn't use it during that scene, we'll go into the next scene with 1 less, and the next scene with 1 less. But we can keep generating it. And there is a maximum. I don't remember the number of maximum right now. That would be up to Brandon.
I don't think there's a max, but...
So, I will...
And just for... Since you are on the Libertas will be aiding you as well, and so it would throw 1d20 as an aid using its computer's con itself, so that's a 13. If somebody, Kevin, if you want to throw that die to act as the Libertas.
Sure. That die was a 14.
Okay, so the Libertas itself did not help, but Kyle Gibbs is excellent. You bring up the open hailing frequencies and are established to the planet. You can tell that there's a lot of interference in the system. I'm going to use one of the, I think, 6 momentum that he generated
5.
here. Every time he generates 2 successes, he gets a bonus momentum. That's 6 total.
Oh yeah, that's true. That's 6. Correct.
So. There's 5 at this point.
Okay.
There's a lot of interference in in trying to reach them. You do reach the science team that is down there, and it is a scientist by its last name is Belfry. And he comes on and greets you guys. It's good to see you. We're down here at the science station. It's in one of the major cities. Almost, I don't know how much you were briefed, but most everything here is underground due to the disturbances that happen every once in a while. There's a lot of meteorological activity, asteroid fields, so a lot of damage goes onto the surface of the planet here. But we've been awaiting you for our pickup, and the leaders here are looking forward to speaking with you. He seems a little discombobulated, probably not so used to talking with people versus doing his research.
Officer Belfry, are you prepared to be transported?
Not an officer. He's not.
Sorry. Okay.
He's a scientist.
Okay, sure. So, Dr. Belfry, are you prepared to be transported with your team?
Like I said, we're getting things ready after studying the geothermal uses that they've been doing on this planet.
Understood. Is there any need for our for assistance?
I'm certain that we could use people to help us pack, but it's just a matter of time. We shouldn't take more than a day to get everything packed up.
Well, you said that you have leaders down there wishing to speak with us. I'll bring an away team down there to speak with them. Be prepare for our transport.
I'll make certain to let them know. If you guys want to use transporters, you by all means can. If you do want to use, you guys have a captain's shuttle that is equipped on the Sovereign class, and it's better. It's not a Danube class runabout, but it is much better than the little ships, the shuttles that you see on most of the shows.
Given the fact that our shuttle might get knocked out of the air right now, based on what he was saying, I vote for transports. Anybody have objections to transporters? Okay.
Is the meteorological activity going to mess with the transporter too?
Good point, Lieutenant
Good question.
Gibbs.
Should I roll a science check to see if I could determine that?
You guys so far have not done any scans of the system.
That's true.
So.
We should scan the system. Sorry, I'm still waking up. Yeah, true.
I've never done this before, so I'm just like, yeah.
Officer Gibbs, please scan the system. I'm honestly just waking up for me.
All right, so once again, the ship, because you're using it, would be aiding you on that. And so
do you want me to just add a d20 for the ship?
It's important to separate that d20 because it crits on a different value than you do. It's
gotcha. So I've got two metal
considered...
dice and a plastic dice.
Sounds
All right.
good.
It is basically considered that it's aiding you, and so you have to succeed in the first place for that to do anything, and that's the standard rule for aiding things. And so this is going to be, I think we'll go with your reason and your science as you're scanning things. This is once again heavily using the computers that are all through the Libertas.
While he's scanning, I'm going to go to a comm panel and I'm going to start researching the science station and this planet. I am going to point out that I am an expedition expert.
Okay. I would say for you that's probably going to be Insight Command, Alice.
Sorry, that's not me.
I am also I am an expedition expert. So
He's
can I consider this to be also researching?
So, expedition expert. Prior to participating in an away mission, character may prepare by conducting a research task. If they succeed, momentum may be spent to allow the character to substitute their science discipline in place of any other during any task to navigate or traverse difficult terrain during the mission. Each point of momentum spent from the research task in this way allows for one such substitution. Yes, by all means, I would say that would be something would be good for that.
Yeah, I had the wrong sheet open for a second, but I am still going to be doing research.
All right, so I got a 10 and I got a 12. 10 is under my reason. 12 is not under my science.
So it's take your reason plus your science. So both of those should probably be under that total.
They are. That's 15 total.
Okay. And so, but neither of those are under your science's value itself.
Correct.
So 2 successes, and you could have spent momentum to gain more d20s if you had wanted, or added to my threat pool, just as a reminder. But you've got 2 successes. Did the ship aid you? It would be using its computers.
The ship got a natural 20.
Okay, well, as you are scanning for just general things, the fields, the asteroid fields are in fact extremely heavy around here. There has been some sort of activity that has just seeded the local area with a lot of space debris. Perhaps it's related. You guys are kind of englobed mostly in a nebula. The area that you're in is a little bit of a pocket, in the nebula area, but basically in most directions from this solar system, you do start to run into that nebula. You're not certain on that, but there is a lot of things in the area. Your first question basically is it going to interfere with transporters? We will go ahead and say no. You don't find anything that would tell you that it would interfere with transporters. You have 1 momentum from that roll, as well as 5 left from previous, so you have a total of 6 momentum at the moment. Do you have any other questions? Basically burning a momentum per question as you're scanning.
So I guess my other question would be: does the atmosphere interfere with space travel? So, like, if we were to take the shuttle down, how difficult would it be, especially if we have to help them carry a bunch of stuff?
Yeah, for transporting a bunch of equipment, you guys are probably going to want to be using a shuttle, because that's going to be a fairly large amount of stuff. You'll probably want a semi-experienced pilot at the helm, and probably be running shields, deflector shields, just to make certain that you guys are not struck. Which brings me to that 20, and we can continue asking questions after that. That's both those momentum from that roll have been used. As you guys are sitting there, the Sovereign class, the Libertas, is caught in a shower of material, getting buffeted a bit as some of these space rocks collide into it. We're going to give the ship for the moment a complication of some hull damage.
Okay.
So ideally we should move it away from the planet, like take a shuttle and pull the main ship back.
Yeah.
Okay.
Could I have used my constantly watching to try to get the deflector shields up?
By all means, if you want to say that's what you did, I can add some threat to the pool to avert the complication.
Oh, I was just looking to maybe use a skill.
So,
I'm good with him getting threat if you guys are.
Since he rolled the 20, that's what's generating the complication.
I gotcha. Sure, let's put a threat in. I just see it as in character for
Okay.
Lieutenant Commander Kanar is quite experienced. He will get the deflector shields up. Just to
all right, Kanar, go ahead and take the scene as this is about to impact and tell us what we've got.
Okay, so he's a tactical. So again, I'm not sure what I should be using for skills.
This is not going to be a skill roll. This is just you telling us what the scene is as this is happening.
Okay, so he's on tactical, so he quickly gets the deflector shields up, just to prevent the hull damage. And as he's looking, space debris can mean a lot of things. And he looks over and he says, Lieutenant Gibbs, it might be worthwhile scanning this debris to see if anything might have come from a ship or any signs of a battle.
Oh yeah, sorry, I didn't even notice that we were in a debris field. I was so busy with the science thing. Yeah, let me get right on that.
And at this point, because I do this a lot, I will point out that when our campaign gets picked up by the networks, that Lieutenant Commander Kanar will be played by Wes Studi.
All right.
So for my you said for my research I needed to do presence and science. Is that what it was?
It was let me switch back over. Not enough monitors. It would be based on your reason command.
Sure.
The way that you were talking about it is
Okay.
because you're
TN14.
using your knowledge of people and such like that, your command, since you were looking at command structure and gathering info, but it's your reason because it's how much mental capacity do you have. By the way, everybody's attributes start at 7, just as a little note. 8 is considered an average for humans, and as you go up from there, you get quite good. So if you have a 7 in something, which only a few of the characters do, you're a little bit behind in that.
So I rolled a 1 and a 10. The 1 is an automatic crit. The 10 is not going to crit, so that's 3 successes. The ship rolled an 8.
Alright, and the ship... The ship, it would be its computers and I guess it's command as well. So,
Okay.
but the 8 is going to by all means be a success on that.
Cool. So 4 successes.
All right. 4 successes. What are your questions?
So researching the planet, I want to find out what the native inhabitant race is, what language they speak. Do I speak that language? I want to ensure that I'm caught up on the local customs so that I don't accidentally say disaster, disaster instead of good morning.
This is a fairly isolated, being in a region that that has all of this atmospheric problems, or not atmospheric, but spatial problems, as well as the fact that it's in the middle of a nebula. This research team is the second contact that the Federation has had with them, and so your databases are very lacking on information regarding this planet, this area.
Okay.
It was initially, discovered 20, 30 years ago, and the team has been here for about 2 years studying with them.
Okay.
That's one question.
Okay. I'm going to pull up the information based on what the science team has sent back and see what I can pull up through that.
The science team has not sent anything back because of the difficulties in communicating. They have basically been out of touch, and so you guys arriving to pick them up, they knew that they were on an X long duration, but they have been totally out of communication with the Federation during that time.
Okay.
There are 8 members of the science team that came here. One of them is more the overseer and kind of diplomatic person that's been talking to people. The other 7 are scientists or engineers types that came to study things on this planet more in depth. That's the second question.
Well,
and go ahead.
I have Studious, so if I burn a momentum to ask a question, I get to ask an additional question, but only once per. Does anyone have any burning questions that we should know about this place, or that I should ask, or are we kind of done?
Well, I did just bank a momentum for us, or I can use that.
If you want to use, you've got more questions.
Exactly.
By all means,
we've got at least a third question. We are at 6 momentum right now, so you don't need to use your one shot yet. I don't think there's any other burning questions that I have at the moment. Does anybody else?
I was hoping that Lieutenant Gibbs could tell us if that debris included anything that might have been a ship or signs of any kind of battle.
Yep, yeah, and I know that we kind of jumped the scene over towards Vringsta as she is covering what she's been able to gather, but I knew that we were going to come back to him.
Back to Alex.
Yeah, I would like to just open the scanners up and see if I can determine if these are just general asteroids or if they are the remnants of a battle, and if so, how recent a battle.
Okay. Burning one of those momentum that we had banked at this point, you begin your scan looking around at that. These are geological in nature, a variety of different sizes, as well as different makeups of specific stones and metals that have gone into the composition of them. So that it does not look so much like it is a battle. There are signs of some technological aspects, perhaps ships or things like that. They seem fairly old, but primarily it is geological in nature.
So,
Oh.
like, the people who live on this planet have just always lived underground because they've always had debris falling all over their planet?
You are uncertain about that at this time.
It's something we'll have to find out on the away mission.
All
Look
right.
for archaeological signs. Officer Gibbs, do you detect
Yes.
any interesting mineral compounds that might be worth gathering a sample of?
Voice in my head. Do I detect any interesting compounds that
There's
could
all
be of
sorts
use
of
to the
different things.
Federation?
You know, by all means, you guys can go ahead and, as a expenditure of momentum, create advantage. Momentum can allow a character to produce an advantage or positive scenario. Spending 2 momentum establishes some new advantage. So if that's something you guys are interested, that is right there. That you guys have, the geological aspects of this and such.
I'm interested in that.
You could spitball from there.
Great. So I'll spend 2 momentum and mark that interesting geological compounds.
So those are in
That's-
various asteroids right now. Interesting. Maybe we can define more as we go along and we figure out what exactly is interesting about them.
Whether they can power us or be volatile and give us good escape, stuff like that. We'll figure it out then.
Oh, we destroyed the planet after we saved the scientists. Our bad. We got some Abrams in our Star Trek today.
We didn't violate the Prime Directive if there are no witnesses.
Well, so, Officer Gibbs, do you believe? What is your assessment? Should we take a shuttle or should we take transporters to meet with the leadership?
To meet with the leadership, I think transporters are fine, but when we're doing the pickup, we're going to want to bring a shuttle down with an experienced pilot, if I may.
Who is the most experienced pilot on our crew? Is it one
so
of our PCs
out of the
or
group of you, I would say that you're looking at 2 different things. The first would be your control. Both of them are going to use con, but your control con is going to be one of them, and then for fly by the seat of your pants Han Solo style, if it comes to that, it would be your daring con. And so I don't know if anybody feels good about theirs. The cap out on attributes is at 12, so people know.
So Bakai and Kyle are pretty much tied for how well they would drive a shuttle. So sounds like we have
and Kyle probably does better because it's using a computer.
Right. So it sounds like we have a pilot and a co-pilot. We're good.
Wait.
Bakai's like, what'd you just volunteer me for?
My daring is only 9, but I guess that's better than 7.
Yeah, but your control is 11 and 3. And your con is 3. So you're 14, same as Kyle.
Okay, that's what con is? All
yeah.
right.
Your con is, as in your con panel.
Okay.
Connection.
Good to know. I didn't actually know that.
Okay.
All right.
That's the Geordie LaForge data at the beginning of the Next Generation series.
Yep, the con panel.
Okay.
A lot of people think it's COM panel, but it's CONN panel.
Or to quote, you have the con.
Mm-hmm. You have the con.
Neat.
Okay.
I say we go away.
Let's go
All
then.
right.
So, gather the away team, which is going to be this crew right here.
Okay. Is there anything that you guys are specifically wanting to bring with you before you leave the ship?
Do we bring Ensign Leibowitz, that red shirt that's going to let us know there's trouble?
Probably should, because we're going to a crazy planet where something will go crazy.
Do we need environmental suits? Is that something I've learned from my scans?
Do you want to scan the atmosphere and such?
Yeah, I know there's people living down there, but I just want to
Yeah.
make sure it's safe for us.
While the planet is this is using the same stuff. Well, the planet has numerous impact zones that go back. Just looking at the information your computer brings up, they go back for thousands of years now, probably hundreds of years on the impact zones on the planet. There is a rich amount of life that is still functional out there, plant life, animal life. There are even some settlements, smaller settlements that are still out on the surface of the planet. And so your scans of the atmosphere also come back that it is a breathable, maybe not an ideal atmosphere, but that it should do no harm for you guys.
Okay. One last thing before we go down.
Yep.
I'll raise Dr. Belfry again, and I want to just let him know, Dr. Belfry, this is Officer Alexia.
Yes.
We're
Are you here already?
We're preparing our away team. Please send coordinates to our transporter room. Is there anything you need us to bring down with us? While I'm talking to him, I want to actually use my empathy and see if I can empath anything that might be causing him to be out of sorts other than him being socially awkward.
Okay. What does empath do, Alice?
Empath. You can sense the emotions of most living beings nearby and can communicate telepathically with other empaths and telepaths, as well as those with whom you are extremely familiar. You cannot choose not to sense the emotions of those nearby, except for those who are resistant to telepathy. It may require effort and a task roll to pick up emotions of a specific individual in a crowd, or to block out the emotions of those nearby. Increased difficulty of this task if the situation is stressful, if there is a lot of stress being present. So
okay. You get that he's a little bit he's definitely a distracted individual.
Mm-hmm.
He does not seem to be distressed though.
Okay.
And so you think that might more be a natural state for him.
Okay. Socially awkward. Got it.
He looks at you and he says, "I would just love a fizzy pop."
I will make it happen. Computer, one fizzy pop.
Okay, she'll even replicate rather than just like, "That's not what I meant, Dr. Belfry."
Hey, he's been here for 2 years, and apparently his replicator doesn't make fizzy pop, so I'll make a fizzy pop for him. Okay, then I'm ready to head down.
Okay. So you guys are going to transport on down to the planet?
Mm-hmm.
What is what's our momentum at right now, Alice?
Our momentum is currently sitting at 4. Your threat is at 9.
Oh, I've been tracking my threat.
Okay.
That's the important part.
Right?
Well, our momentum's at 4.
Okay.
Are we changing scenes right now?
When you guys do transport down to the planet, it will be a scene change, which will drop one momentum off.
Yep. Okay. I'm ready.
The threat never goes away, though.
Nope.
It just keeps going up until I decide to bring the smack down.
Yep.
All right.
Consequences of the going, I guess.
You guys get to the transporters. You transport down. The Captain Livingston, is going to be dealing with the ship. They're going to basically pull the ship back to a safe range since there's so much problems in the atmosphere. Keep saying atmosphere in the local space. And so they won't be that far off, but they will not be right by the planet.
Okay.
Just keeping the ship going in a safe environment. And so, yeah, you guys have coordinates. You transport down, and you guys go underground onto their. They are. It's not a transporter pad, but it is a long set of pattern enhancers that you guys teleport into. That look like they were probably set up when the science team initially came here and have been left kind of alone as a make certain they're still functioning and we didn't mess with them kind of way. You are in an underground area where the lights are fairly dim to most of your eyes. So we've got a Betazoid, we've got a human, we've got a Klingon, and we have a Cardassian. I'd say probably the Cardassians and the Cardassian and the Klingon are a bit more used to light in that than the Betazoid and the human are. So for the two of you, it'll be a little bit more difficult, a little bit more straining to see naturally.
Pull out my tricorder and start scanning.
All right, so you guys are adjusting to the lights down here, and you can hear whir of machinery and such in the local area, and somebody loudly bumps into something, curses, and then kind of comes around a corner. It's Dr. Belfry in his lab coat and such. And he looks at you, smiles, his graying salt and pepper hair kind of strewn about, and he's like, oh, it's good to see all of you. I'm Dr. Belfry. Please, come this way. What did you want to see first? Was it Commander Alcia?
Commander Alxia, yes.
Alxia.
And Dr. Belfry, I believe you asked for this. I hand him the fizzy pop.
Oh, and he smiles, a giddy little smile, and he quickly opens it up and starts to drink it like a kid from a Capri Sun, and just by all means, not really, the fact that he's got, the XO as well as officers of a Starfleet vessel really not phasing him or registering with him, perhaps.
What race or species is he?
We'll put him as human.
Okay.
So he asked you where you wanted to go, basically.
We'd like to see your equipment and what you've been monitoring and gathering the last 2 years.
So he takes you over to the lab. Since the native species here has had an underground life for very long time, the Krol Kax are designed, or not designed, but have adapted to underground living, and so they have been manufacturing things to harness that geothermal energy. The planet itself runs fairly hot at the center, and so it is excellent for this. Lots of volcanism, and so they've been studying, since this is a culture that adapted to live that way and has some geothermal applications that Starfleet isn't using or wanted to study. That's what they've primarily been here, and that's the reason they've got the mix of scientists and engineers, as well as one mostly bureaucrat, with them on the mission to try and take some of this technology and put a Starfleet spin onto it.
And when he brings us to the other people, I'll make sure to introduce. This is my Chief Science Officer, Kyle Gibbs. This is my Chief Security Officer, Kanar. And this is my Chief Medical Officer, Bakai Rajal. Is there any need for, do you have any need for anything repaired? Do we need to call down anyone to repair anything?
Oh, well...
Your replicator seems to be on the fritz.
We've repurposed so much of what we have during our 2 years. The local people have been good, but our technology isn't as compatible as we were initially led to believe. But when we were dropped off here.
Dr.
and
Bakai.
so we've needed to mainly kind of rely on our own technologies.
Dr. Bakai, would you be so kind as to take a look through their medical records and see if you can glean anything of interest and value for our future diplomacy as well as evacuation efforts?
For the locals, you mean, or
Yes.
for the team? All right.
Both. Both would be helpful.
Do you have computers with details on the locals, and are there any locals I could talk to / look at?
Well, you would want to speak with Colette Var regarding if you were to do examinations. But yes, we do have computers that you can use by all means. Angston has been doing primarily studies on the local culture since he isn't the scientist among us.
All right. Where can I find him?
And he points up, and they're kind of in a small little area where a lot of their equipment is, but he's told you that they go all over because where's the factories and such that they're doing. But this is kind of their setup, and kind of the commander's office basically type thing is where Angston is set up, and that's where he points you to.
All right. I will go off in that direction then.
Okay. You come into Angston's office, and where the scientist, it's kind of like Belfry, that there's stuff strewn about everywhere. It's a little bit of a disarray. It probably gets your Cardassian hackles up just by looking at it. Angston's office, on the other hand, looks to be everything has a place, and there is a place for everything. You come up, unlike the hair strewn about that Belfry has. Angston has a short cut hair, thin beard, and is sitting behind his desk, currently using his computer.
All right. So Angston, what position was he? He was just the scientist of the crew?
Angston was like the bureaucrat of the group. He's the one that's been mainly dealing with the locals, kind of running the show for this. He's a resource officer.
Okay.
So they're scientists and engineers, and he is the other.
I don't suppose we have a second fizzy drink. I would love to present him with something, but I didn't think ahead enough. So, hello. Hello, good sir. Whatever. What do I call him? Is he just Mr.? Does he have a position, actually?
Yes, Mr. works fine.
Mr. Angston, it is lovely to meet you. I've been hearing about your guys' work down here. Don't mind me, I'm just here if you have an extra computer console or something. I'm here to pull up some information on the locals, find out what you've been doing with yourself, and, just look over some very fascinating information.
We're on that Elam Garrick side of the Cardassian spectrum. I see. This is wonderful. He looks up at you, a bit taken aback that somebody, let alone a Cardassian's, walking into his office and such. And he's like, "Yes, can I help you?" And then kind of takes note of your uniform, and he's like, "Oh, you're here. Well, excellent. We've been looking forward to getting picked up. I didn't hear that you all were coming. I'm sorry, I don't have everything prepared." He looks at the office and he's like, I would have cleaned up.
That's absolutely fine. That is absolutely fine. I am here, of course, to get information on the locals and on yourselves. I know 2 years of being aboard a foreign planet with foreign food and atmosphere and what have you can be a bit trying. So if you wouldn't mind, I'm tripping over my words. I apologize for that. If you wouldn't mind succumbing to a health check and a look through some of your different information, I'd love to know what you pulled up on the locals.
By all means. And he apologizes. I'm sorry. This is the only computer that I have access to, but by all means, you are welcome to it. You said your name was
Bekai. Just call me B.
Okay, B. By all means, there, and if we don't have a great place for that, but we could push the desk aside, and you could do your medical examinations on people in here. We can close the curtains and all.
All right, wonderful. So, one of the first things that I would want to do then is, of course, look through their computer and pull up information on the locals and what he's got and just overview their findings. But this is the second person that we've come into that seems to be a bit scatterbrained, so I'd like to examine the people that we have met and make sure there isn't any effects of anything being down here. This is Star Trek, so I wouldn't be surprised if the local food has invaded their minds and there's this, blob, I need to find the big bad before we all get eaten and the red shirts die. So,
sure. You are able to do that. For your examination of him, we're going to go with your reason and your medicine.
All right. Reason, medicine, and diagnosis is one of my focuses.
There we go.
So, I've already forgotten the rules on that. I know that includes my threat range, but
you start with 2d20. You can spend momentum or give me more threat to get more dice if you would like. Alice, how much momentum is there?
We currently have 4 momentum.
Okay. You can roll up to 5 dice at one time, and we'll get them the specific cost if you want to buy them.
Okay, so I have 2 dice, and I could spend momentum, 1 point of momentum to add a third die,
and 2 more points to get a fourth die.
Okay. Well, since we have no pressing need for the momentum, and we're going through scenes, I'll spend 1. I think.
Okay.
Do 3 dice.
Okay. Done.
And so then, if your dice, because your sciences or your medicine is 4, if your dice come up at 4 or below, that's effectively a crit.
No, I got a 12, which is a success, and then I got an 18 and a 20.
Okay.
Ooh, complication.
This man is dying.
Yes, Alex. Alex is right. We should have brought environmental suits.
So as you're doing your scan on him and such, the two of you are talking, and he is telling you that the crew that he's got, the scientists and such, have all been looking forward to the festival that is coming up on the planet. The festival begins tomorrow. It is a religious festival that they have kind of gathered some information about, and it's the first time that festival is occurring in the time that they've been here. They understand that it is only happens rarely.
Okay. Well, as I sit ominously waiting for what the 20 is,
I just wrote
the Festival of Sacrifice the Outsiders. That's the episode name. Festival of Sacrifice the Outsiders.
I will use my studious talent then and look up information. I'm allowed. Do you have to? How does it work? Asking questions. Am I allowed a question and then I burn momentum to ask more questions, or?
Yeah. So you roll for successes, and then you will get, based on the number of successes, that you'll either put them in the momentum pool or you can use them for questions. And then if you want to burn more momentum from our momentum pool, you can for questions.
Okay. So I've got. Oh.
I'm going to go ahead and give you what you've gotten so far from your scan of him. And so you scan him. He seems to be in general healthy order. However, perhaps the local food, the local atmosphere, something that there are unusual deposits of minerals that have accumulated in his body that make a lot of the scanning harder. And so I'm going to take that complication that you just generated, and I'm going to put in the biological mineral deposits as a complication.
And at this point, since Adam and Alex haven't played before, I will just remind the two of you about the fact that we did get interesting geological compounds while doing the scan. And Adam, you are capable of flagging that if you want to and say, hey, these geological compounds line up with what's in his body, if you need to.
Why would I want to or not want to?
So the biological mineral deposits that are preventing you from, getting quite as good of a scan as you normally would be able to, though he does, like I say, seem to be in general healthy order. Um, this is basically your reason is an 11, I think, and your medicine is a 5. Is that correct?
4, but yeah, 11 and 4.
All right, so that would mean that you would normally be 15 or lower would be a success. Whenever these biological mineral deposits that are making scans difficult come up, they're going to basically make it 1 point harder, and so you're going to be rolling at a 14 at this point. I'm not certain where Alice is going on that interesting asteroids the geological deposits on that, but by all means, they can be connected.
So hear me out. If we make them connected and they're both volatile, does that mean we could turn the locals into red barrels from video?
I believe Farscape did that in Thank God It's Friday or something like that. Tomorrow's a rest day, where Rigel begins to pee explosives.
Yep, he does.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So I'm allowed to connect those, or if I decide to, that's how it works?
Sure, yeah.
You by all means can. That is not, an innate part of the system, but this is Star Trek.
Yeah.
And Treknobabble gets like a half-page write-up of the importance of Treknobabble.
Okay. It seems the mineral deposits that are floating around this planet have found their way into your blood, sir. Have you been eating rocks?
He looks taken aback by this, and he's like, no, I have not been eating rocks. We used
I was curious about the local cuisine.
We used our replicator for about 3 months before Jensen decided he needed parts from it for one of his experiments, and since then we've been eating the local fare. Believe me, there's many more types of worms than I ever thought.
Well, I am curious now, and I want to ask questions of his computer / make a roll / burn momentum. I don't entirely understand, but use that studious trait. I want to look up the local religion and the local food.
Okay. Let me go and look up. All right, so Bakai has studious. Whenever you spend 1 or more momentum to obtain information, you may ask 1 additional question in total, not per momentum spent on obtained information.
I suddenly picture us being in the Outer Limits episode of Feasibility Study.
I haven't seen Outer Limits in years, so I do not know this one.
It's the one where their silicon beings have captured humans and are getting to do things, but they're slowly turning into petrified statues.
Okay.
All right. So yes, you guys have 4 momentum. Is it, Alice?
Yes.
You generated no momentum on your roll.
We actually have 3
you
left.
made the difficulty.
We have 3 left
Yes.
because we changed scenes earlier.
Okay, so you have 3 momentum that you can spend, and one momentum would normally get you another question that you could ask me. And so because you're studious, you would be able to do 2 questions for 1 momentum. So it's almost always in Bakai's interest to ask at least 1 additional question, because she gets 2.
Well, how broad can these questions be? Because those are my 2 questions. I'd want to spend a momentum and ask, what's the local food like, and what is the local religion like?
Okay. This is related to your medical scan of him, so we can deal with those things later on. What we could do is the cuisine's effect on their bodies, or something along that line.
So something more specific like that?
Yeah, because this role has been your medical examination. We haven't gotten to you playing with his computer yet.
Okay. Then, sure, I will burn a point of momentum to ask the 2 questions of, did the eating the local food cause these mineral deposits, would be question 1.
You don't find the mineral deposits more seem to get deposited throughout their musculature, in all 3 types of muscle throughout the body, so it's probably been ingested, but is not staying in their digestive system. or blood. The bloodstream is kind of depositing it there. They are bonding with certain elements within the muscles themselves, and
So it's not the food that's causing it, but it is going to the muscles?
yes,
Is that what
you
you're
don't
saying?
think that it is innately part of that food cuisine, or that you don't think that's necessarily the full cause of it.
All right. Well, if it's not going through the food, then my second question would be, is it coming through the lungs? Because that's the only other way I can think of that it would enter the body, would be either the food or the air.
Yep. You look at the air and scanning the air, and you are able to pick up trace parts of that same mineral that is depositing in their muscles, that is in the air, and so you're wondering if perhaps given the moist environment of the lungs, that is somehow going through in that carbon dioxide oxygen exchange into the bloodstream, and then when that exchange occurs again, that it's kind of depositing in the muscles of the body.
Okay. Well, I guess researching further on that will depend on whether it becomes important later, but all right. So I reasonably believe that it is the air is building mineral deposits in the people.
His mind does seem okay to you. You ask him questions, he tracks your finger, such like that, and you do this with the other 7 members of this expedition. And then you wanted to get to his computer, I believe.
Okay. I still have a question about, in the back of my head, why everyone seems a bit flustered and unfocused. But I will leave that for now, and we will go to the computer.
Okay. So this is going to be a reason, and let's go with con, I guess.
Right. Reason.
Let's go with science, because you're asking anthropological questions regarding this.
All right. So I don't know entirely what all of my focuses are. I have toxicology, which I don't think would necessarily work, but I do have religious beliefs as a focus, and I want to look up what they know on their computer about the locals' religion. So that's
yes, that focus is totally good.
All right.
Can I assist?
Yes, by all means. We've kind of left you guys out in the cold, so let's put you on pause, and let's jump to the other team, and then we'll get Kyle to come in and assist in a little bit. So,
all right, I'll be frozen right here.
Yes, the other 3 of you. What are you guys up to?
Well, it sounds like for me, I am wanting to ask Kanar and I to go around and just evaluate. I want him to be evaluating based off of, strategic and the equipment and such, and see what he can gather information-wise. And I am gathering information based off of the people and just trying to get, just empath and talk to them. See if, other people are scatterbrained, because I do get something being a little off with Dr. Belfry, which is one of the reasons I was like, I want a doctor to go and investigate further. And, the fact that the replicator seems to not be working because he wanted a fizzy pop certainly, raised my interest. So I want to find out what they've been eating. That was something.
Well, and also, for that, realize that field replicators are not going to have the
They're the MRE
database.
equiv. Yeah. They're
Yes.
very restricted on databases, which I made a comment while I was on the ship that they're, that he's been on a restricted diet replicator. However, now that I know that the replicator's been broken, that certainly raises my interest a little more. So, yeah. So I would be asking Kanar to make a tactical assessment based off of the way that the equipment's been taken apart and such like that, and I would be making a emotional assessment by talking to people. But I want to keep Kanar close in case any trouble arises. So.
Okay, and what about Kyle while all this is going on? Science Officer Gibbs.
And also,
I think...
this is what I'm asking of Kanar. Kanar can obviously do anything he wants. Sorry, go ahead.
So yeah, I think my main thing was I was sort of lingering around the doctor, the guy, Dr. B.
Okay.
because my interest is also in the science and the sociology and the differences in the people.
All right. Then you will be able to help Dr. B when we jump back over there. The two of you are going to be looking around, just trying to get a feel of the people with your empath, as well as the looking at how things are working and such like that.
And talking to people,
Um,
yeah.
So, which you guys are kind of doing two different things, but it's generally getting a feel for this scene. It sounds like what Kanar, or what you're asking him to do, is probably in his engineering wheelhouse, and maybe his reason on fixing things. Where for you, it's probably like an insight. Check and maybe
command.
does command. Does empath give you any ideas on the roles that you might make with it?
It just says task roll.
Okay, cool. And so which one of you might be the primary, and which one of you is assisting, as you guys are trying to get a feel for things?
That's a good question.
Well, I heard. Sorry, I heard two questions. One was assessing the tactical strength of this outpost, which I'm guessing is minimal.
And
which I think is
dangers of basically transporting, because if they've been taking stuff apart and jury rigging stuff, explosion, it might be unstable, it might explode on the shuttle under pressure, stuff like that.
Okay,
So.
which sounds like reason and security, but looking at those replicators will be reason plus engineering, I'm guessing. But whatever you want me to hit, Brandon, let me know. I'm ready.
So
if you're looking, you were talking about fixing. So if you're looking at fixing, that's probably going to be with the engineering. If you're looking at the dangers, I can give you security by all means.
Well, let's do the dangers, then fix if I can.
Okay.
If that's okay.
I'm good with either of us being primary or secondary. If I'm primary, I do have multiple foci that work for this. Xenodiplomacy.
Kevin's definitely got a focus that is also applying, just so you know, and that's scavenging, because that is exactly what these guys have been doing.
So I would also say survival training could play too.
Why don't you take primary, and I'll take secondary.
So, Alice, you're just going to roll one die at your normal rate, and what you count your foci, you count your attribute, because you're more looking at the people, and so at that point you're kind of feeding that into him on how crazy stuff might these people have done in their some years here.
Okay, I rolled a 4. Which means it's a crit success for me, because it's xenodiplomacy and cultural studies all apply. So that is 2 successes from me.
Oh. Okay, and so hers are on hold until Kevin, you make your roll. As long as you generate 1 success on your dice, you're going to get.
Okay.
You're going to get the 2 that she provided.
So using reason plus security, I've applying scavenging. I got a 5, which is equal to my security, so a crit success, and then a 16, which is not a success at all.
Okay. So you've got 4 successes. It sounds like 2 from Vringsta and 2 from you. The difficulty on ascertaining is 2 here. The stuff you start poking around as you guys are talking with scientists. Vringsta is much more engaged with that. You are kind of looking at what these people have been doing. You find a number of places where they have had failed attempts at trying to integrate the local technology with the Federation tech. And it's just never come out with a successful combination. Just like, Klingon, Cardassian, and Federation type stuff does not really blend well together, and it takes a lot of Miles O'Brien knowledge to do that. Whether it is innately dangerous on the things that they still do have that are working, that have kind of, all sorts of their stuff they have scavenged, and now you're kind of getting an idea why they left those the pattern enhancers alone. They didn't want to start taking those apart.
All right.
unlike pretty much everything else, because one way or another, that's their way home at the end of the day. And so they thought about that enough. Um, the supplies that they've got there in a various state of packing. It looks like all of it pretty recent. They knew that you guys were coming at some point, but what you're seeing does not innately make you think that this stuff is going to be innately volatile. There is definitely no volatility built into their designs, and the stuff that's already blown up, the failed experiments, those have blown up. This stuff is mostly Federation tech that's just kind of been, repurposed with other bits.
Okay, so
Alice or
Okay.
Kevin, do you guys have questions?
I would say so. It looks to me like they've kept this place together with Federation-approved duct tape and a prayer.
Yes.
Okay, I relate that.
Okay. I want to find out about their water filtration system. Because, to be honest, food is one thing, but a lot of times water is what more stuff gets into the body with than food. And so I want to find out about their water filtration, because water is where waste goes, etc. So it tends to be the more toxic of the elements. And since they have been keeping things together with a duct tape and a prayer, I want to check on their water.
Their water filtration is still Federation stuff.
So they thought about that enough too. Cool.
Unlike the replicator, which has been offline for most of their time here, their water filtration is going to still be working. It seems.
Okay. Anyone else here seem scatterbrained? Seem kind of everywhere when I'm talking to them and pathing off of them?
Focused, dedicated. Definitely kind of that, they're glad that they get to leave. They're sad they didn't get enough of their work done, basically, when you're suddenly going to be packed up off a place. But none of them are actively fighting. You're not certain. They don't all seem scatterbrained. You think that's much more just kind of belfries.
Okay.
That he and talking with him, he has a lot of things that are going on in his mind at one time. He is constantly making notes on things on a data pad, as you guys are going and such, and bringing up a variety of different schematics to make notes about things. He's also running back and forth to things to try and make certain, since they're going to be leaving in a not too long of a period of time, make certain that he's got everything that he does need on his data pad and such.
Okay. While I'm talking to Dr. Belfry, I'm also going to ask him to, when we're going to get to meet the local leaders, because that was one of the reasons our away team came down here.
Oh, but we have to go. You were all taking interest here, and so are there questions relating to the role, though?
No. That's it. So how many did we have, and how many am I banking for momentum?
It was a difficulty 2. I think you guys came up with 4 successes. I haven't really heard anything based on that roll that was used. So that's 2 momentum was generated there.
Okay. Yeah, I didn't have any other questions. Did you, Kevin?
No, well, I think I'm not sure if my comment covered as a question, but to me it looks like they've been scraping by.
Yeah. Same here. Okay, so then we got that. Back to the other 2.
So before we disappear, do I have a shot at that replicator, or do you want to switch scenes first? I'm cool either way.
Let's go ahead and switch scenes.
Okay.
You can be working, teaming up with one of their engineers. What you're seeing is they're short on parts.
Okay.
And failed experiments with local tech burned through a lot of their Federation supplies, and 2 years of field tests, definitely does it as well. So, Kyle and Bakai, you guys were going to go through the computers to try and come up with any further information about the local people, any whatever's basically there, right?
Yeah. using my trivia and religious belief focuses to learn what this festival is and anything else that it would be useful and interesting to know.
Okay. So, who's lead and who is assisting?
I'll let Dr. B take the lead.
Okay. So, this is going to be science. It sounds like, because you guys are looking for scientific information, anthropology and such, and reason. It's definitely based in that logic field.
Cool.
All
and
right.
I do have sociology as a focus, if that helps with my.
So, just so you guys know, you only need one focus. Multiple foci don't improve anything. But for Kyle, yes, sociology would by all means fit in on the focus for your assist roll. So Kyle is going to go ahead and roll 1d20 using his reason science. You both are coming at it from that same kind of angle. And that will generate successes normally.
I got an 11, so that
11.
is a success.
Okay. And so then, Dr. B, you're going to be able to go ahead and make your roll. Do you want to buy any extra d20s? You guys
Should
have
I?
how many momentum?
We have 5.
5 momentum at the moment.
All right. Well, I can spend one and buy a roll because this is the next possible source of what will kill us. Unless someone thinks that I should do more than just one. Is one okay, or should I be?
It's up to you. I'm good with, if you clear our pool, I'm good with you clearing our pool. It's just more excitement.
Yeah, I will say, the one time that I played this, I had a character who had bold for something, for my con, I think. And every time I would do it, I was just like, yes, I will give you threat because I want more dice.
Because I am bold.
Yep. The GM loved me because his threat pool got high.
I think you can take 2 momentum,
Okay.
Dr. B.
Okay.
It would be 1,
Okay,
3, or 6.
Yeah.
Basically for 1, 2, or 3 extra dice.
First one
so I could
costs
spend-
1, second one costs 2, third one costs 3.
So if you're
I
going
could spend 3 momentum to roll 2 extra dice.
Awesome.
Yes, so 4 dice total.
So we are down to 2
Sure,
momentum.
why not? I'll spend all our momentum on a computer trivia hunt. Reading Wikipedia. All right.
It's a good rabbit hole.
The best use I can think of.
All right. I have 2 failures with a 16 and a 17, and 2 normal successes with 2 5s.
Okay.
Despite rolling all of that, I'm sorry, I got 2 successes and that's it.
No.
Okay, so you have 3 successes total. That is 3 momentum back in. So, now, for the, let's say 2 momentum, and I'll answer one of his questions to start with. So you are wondering about the religious festival as the primary angle on your search? Or are you looking for the physiological information on the species and such?
Well, I guess we'll start with the festival that's happening tomorrow, because for diplomacy, we should know what on earth we're walking into.
Okay.
The religion and what is this festival?
All right. You go through and read through the information on the computer that this guy, Angston, has gathered. And the festival is something that they only heard about a couple months ago. About 2 months ago that this was coming. And so they, the first thing was an offhand comment. So then they started asking about it. And this relates to the species, the Krol Kax mythology. And so basically that there is in their stories, there is another species that inhabits this the local solar system, and they only come very rarely. But during each of the times these dark ones come, there is a time of great turmoil for the Krol Kax. It describes their world as one that passes in and out from the night, and And so the Angston, his takeaway is that their moon was the source, and something happened with their moon, perhaps related to the turbulence in the system, perhaps related to gravitational distortions, or maybe their moon ended up causing those. But one way or another, the moon was eventually destroyed, and leading to a lot of the problems. And that's what his kind of takeaway on the mythological origin is. The last part is, once again, his takeaway rather than the specific things that the people have said.
So the people say there's another species in the solar system, the Dark Ones. They show up every couple of years and they throw a festival about their arrival.
They are throwing a festival now because the Dark Ones are coming, and basically they expect that they will be able to drive them back.
So the festival is about war, that the Dark Ones come and they drive them back.
Yes. And so it's kind of like that they go and they bless and they sanctify and such to protect against the Dark Ones, and that's what Angston has been able to gather so far.
Okay, and he thinks that the origins of this might have been when their moon exploded?
That's, some of the takeaway just based on the local, stuff that's going on in this local solar system around the planet.
Okay.
Because they specifically make mention to a world that passes in and out from the night, that brings terrible wrath upon Krol Kax.
Okay. Second question then would be, what do they do?
That's just, you rolled, you made it. So now we put back 2 momentum in the pool. You can burn momentum and ask questions.
Does anyone have a question specifically they think should be asked?
You did.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I was just gonna then I'll burn a momentum, and that gives me 2 questions per session like this, and ask, so what do they do at this festival? Do we know what they'll actually be doing to drive away the dark?
He just has it put down that they are going to be blessing their sacred warriors. There's going to be major feasts and such that will go into this, and that the battle in his takeaway is a spiritual one against this place that passes in and out from the dark, and he's not certain exactly how they, with the fact that they're underground, if they're still counting the dark on the surface, or if that is something else. It has a deeply spiritual connotation to the people.
Okay. Then my second question would be, how does their particular religion that is holding this festival work? Are we dealing with a hierarchy of priests that we'll be talking to, or is it...
There is, by all means, a priesthood that is a fairly powerful organization for the Krol Kax. They do not run the government, but they are powerful advisors, kind of like in Bajor. The importance of that spirituality of the prophets, as well as the civilian government that was actually running things.
Okay.
And so these priests will have a large amount of power. You're able to, by all means, ascertain some, basic do's and don'ts and such from his notes as well on dealing with the secular and non-secular leaders.
Okay.
I have a question.
Mm-hmm.
I guess my question is, why are our scientists so interested in sticking around to watch this? Why aren't they more interested in going home after 2 years?
There's a party tomorrow. You can leave today, or you can stay for a party tomorrow. That's not going to cost any momentum, unless you want to start, pressing them, slap them around a little bit.
We have
Oh,
a Klingon. You will answer our questions.
I love the old second edition Psionics handbook, the unconscious lizard man and the scion touching his forehead, and it's, we have ways of making you think.
Oof. I won't press the matter.
Because by all means, they are, and they have been packing things. They didn't know exactly when you guys were arriving, just had a general, they'll be here for 2 years. And so they have been packing stuff up and all. But, you're told you're going to go to a party, and then all of a sudden it's like, oh no, you're going home. It's like, can I do both?
We have to go to the party, despite the fact we know something will try to eat us. Like...
Yeah, I'm about to say, even though it's a party, it does sound like it's not a party. It feels like we're pushing up on the Prime Directive here.
Yeah, are the locals okay with us attending?
The locals these people have been living with the locals for 2 years. They aren't I think it was the third or the fourth Star Trek TNG movie where you had that research station that was like pulled back and hidden. They are not a hidden one. They have been working closely with local engineers and such in their studies, and so they have been invited to observe and partake in festivities.
But have we been invited?
Well, you guys haven't even made it to Colette Var, the leader that you were told to speak with.
Well, we'll have to, head that way. So the only other thing... Oh.
Oh, go.
I would say the only other thing then that really was a question was about their physiology and anything we should worry about biologically. So we can ask that too, or just read the Wikipedia entry on them.
So, you can go ahead and burn another momentum, because I think you've asked your 2 questions already. If you want some information on them, or,
Should we? I don't know. This is my first time playing Star Trek. I don't know how much information is too much information.
Don't worry.
Just play.
At best, it's the second time for the rest of us.
Just play.
2 whole times. Run with your idea.
I mean, worst case, we end up with some threat. We end up having a more epic battle. Just use your gut. Use what you want. Don't worry about it.
Just so you know, I had an idea planned, and part of the burn momentum, ask questions and such. I was like, all I need is a basic, you arrive here and this is happening, and then something that's going to happen along the way.
And our paranoia will fill it in for you.
Oh, yes.
Exactly.
Right,
Since you guys are asking questions constantly, I couldn't have all that prepped. And you guys haven't even hit where I thought we were going to burn a bunch of time yet.
See?
Yeah,
okay.
So,
well, yay.
We have 4
Well, then
momentum
I would
right now.
want
Tell
to
me about
know
burning any.
about the physiology of these aliens, specifically how minerals deal with their biology.
Okay.
Because if the mineral deposits are just part of what they do, we should look at them to find out what's happening to our people.
The Krol Kax are a generally humanoid people with a short neck, where their head is more built in on the shoulders. They have developed a strong vision that is able to see into ranges that humans cannot. Because of that, you think that you're not certain if it developed because they became subterranean or was an excellent adjustment that they had to going into subterranean life. Their eyes have apparently 5 different lenses that are able to move in and out to filter various types of energy so that they can be able to see. Their skin is a ruddy dark with heavy lithoderms built into it at points. And so that might be part of that mineral deposits that you're seeing developing on the local scientists. Their hands are 3-thumbed instead of having fingers, so basically oppositional thumbs, and each one moving independently, allowing them fine dexterity and control. Without burning momentum, is there any basic questions on their physiology? Because that's just kind of what popped into my head that you might ask, since you've already burned to ask this, and maybe I didn't get to what you wanted to know.
I'll throw it. Was there anything on the physiology of these shadow things.
The dark ones.
The dark ones, thank you.
The images that they have some pictures of on the computer from Temple, because this guy, remember, he's been kind of acting as a little bit of an anthropologist because the science stuff is way over his head, and he's a bureaucracy and such, but was sent with some knowledge of stuff. That he has taken from temple walls and such, where they're depicted a long time ago, is that they are a mostly humanoid with their upper arms being a combination of arm and wing. They have powerful claws at the end of those arms, as well as a kind of a claw foot combo for walking. They are, that's pretty much the extent of the physiology that he got about these dark ones that are known as Krox, Krox.
For the record, I certainly wish I was a much younger Klingon played by Vin Diesel, but we'll see if my predictions come true.
Krox. Okay. Got it. How do you spell the Krol, the first race that we're dealing with?
Krolkal.
Krolkal. Okay.
Krol and Kax.
Okay.
Okay. I can't think of any other questions that we would need to know at the moment.
Nope.
So let's go meet the leaders.
All right. Everybody's heading over, same scene. It's, planetary stuff. Scenes aren't necessarily that you just click them away just because you do something slightly different. You guys,
while we're moving, we exchange information, download information to each other.
Yeah. So Dr. Belfry and Angston go with you guys to meet the leaders of the Krol Kax. They head into town. It's probably about a kilometer where their station is. The way has lights that have been hung on the walls. They definitely look much newer than a lot of the stuff around, and you can definitely see that they are Federation lights.
Okay.
So those were hung up for all of your guys' benefits as well as the expedition team.
Adam, the information that I got, that Kevin and I got, that I got was pretty basic. I would relate all of that to you. Is there anything you want to add or subtract from anything you'd want to download to us based on the information you gathered? I'd roleplay this, but since we're short, since we're trying to get to a time.
Could there be? I don't know.
Okay, cool. It's up to you. Okay.
I don't know. I tell you everything.
Okay, cool.
So we should totally get respirators or something.
Alice, Bakai is precise to a fault. She tells you everything.
Sounds very Cardassian. Okay, thank you.
You guys come to the Krol Kax, the dwellings down here, since there isn't really a sky that they're open to. A lot of them aren't so much worried about having a roof, but some modicum of privacy on some of them, that there is something that screens. But as you're walking through, you get the idea that living is often communal among these people. They're in the cave that opens up where the community is, the city is basically, that things are built into the walls and such, and so they have tried to use the space that they have, since they have been forced to live in a confined space rather than out in the open. The whole thing does look fascinating, and you guys can feel that even though you're underground, that there's definite warmth that has come up from below the Earth.
Okay. As we are moving, given the information that we're communicating with each other, I'm going to have my tricorder out. I'm also going to ask Officer Gibbs to have his tricorder out and be scanning because he's better at picking up stuff with it than I am.
So what are you guys scanning for?
I want to be alerted if any of the deposits of this mineral in the air is getting more dense as we're moving. I want to find out, if the temperature rising as we're getting warmer and all, if that is impacting the composition of the mineral compounds at all, because sometimes, they degrade, sometimes they expand, different things, if it's a natural silicon, etc., different reactions to heat and cold.
Gotcha.
And if
go ahead and
we're getting more or less of it into our systems.
Okay. So worried about your guys' current absorption of it.
Mm-hmm.
All right. You didn't want to bring your medical officer in on that?
I thought I said medical officer. Did I?
No, you said Kyle.
I'm sorry. Dr. Bakai, could you please come and help us with that?
Oh, what did
by all
you
means.
I admit I wasn't listening.
I would like you to monitor the compounds that you observed and find out in the air if they are getting more concentrated as we're traveling deeper into their civilization. I wish to find out if the temperature increase is changing the levels in which we are ingesting it through our breath or our speech, etc.
Find out how long it will be until we die, all right?
Yes, exactly. Or mutate. Find out how long it will be before we mutate.
All right.
Prepare for the worst.
I've never played Call of Cthulhu, but I feel like this is a Call of Cthulhu game. We all know eventually something with tentacles is going to eat us. We're just trying to figure out when and where.
That's always Star Trek, though. It's very Star Trek.
You guys are so paranoid. It's all supposed to be the beauty of exploration, and everybody wants to jump at the shadows.
Brandon, I specifically have a value that makes me jump at the shadows.
Oh, do you?
Yes. I have hope for the best, prepare for the worst. I specifically have a value that says to do this. So go, Adam.
All right. I'm scanning away. Do the levels change?
All right. Go ahead and make your roll. Alice, were you aiding or were you asking Kyle to help?
I'm aiding. Actually, well, I prefer Kyle, but he's AFK, so I'll aid.
Okay.
Okay. Sorry, what?
I definitely make it. I need to know what I'm rolling to make sure. Oh, I'm not going to be able to crit that. So, I definitely make it.
Oh, this definitely sounds like a reason science kind of thing.
Yeah, I made it.
Yep.
Am I rolling an assist then, or what?
I assisted you. I'm helping you.
Oh, so I roll that? Okay. So I was just checking. You know those dice that always roll really, really low, but now suddenly are only rolling 20s? Just, dice shaming and splitting mine up. So, reason science, 2 successes.
So 3 successes.
So 3 successes. Difficulty 1 task, which is generally kind of your standard. Your 0 tasks are the ones that you can't really fail. It's just how much did you get out of doing it. And so you are scanning and such, and as you guys are going along, the deposits that are within Belfry's and Angston's muscles, they seem to be very inured to heat. That as the temperature changes, you notice that all of your guys' temperature goes up more, or is affected more. You begin sweating, things like that, than the 2 of them. And that specifically that in their muscles that they are remaining a little bit cooler than what you guys are doing. You don't notice a difference in the accumulation at this point. In fact, you're not certain if that is the method that it is accumulating or not. That's a hypothesis. They even do have an awesome system in Star Trek for hypothesis of here's a problem that we're having. let's throw out a few things and then let's work on them. And so you could get into that if you wanted to, but it's a little bit different than
Hypothesis
what we're
on where
working
the
on.
mineral deposits are coming from?
Yeah. So, but you're not noticing an increase just because you are coming down here. Now that is, like I said, that was difficulty 1, so it sounds like you've generated 2 momentum. Do you have questions?
Yes, I have a question for Dr. Bakai, and I'm going to take out a data pad and I'm going to type it onto the data pad because of the people that were around, and I don't want to suddenly make people unnerve people.
Passing secret messages never unnerve
Well, actually,
people.
hold on. He's not telepathic, unfortunately.
Neither are you. You're
Alright.
empathic.
No, but it says that I can send telepathic messages to someone who is telepathic. So, actually, no, I'll just whisper it over to him. The minerals, you don't think their bodies have grown dependent on it, do you? Is there a risk in removing them from this environment?
I don't know, but that's a wonderful hypothesis. I will start thinking on that.
Are we going to need to arrange for some sort of detoxification bay, depressurization zone, cube, or whatnot?
Here's a question that I don't think would require research. I feel like we should know already. If
Okay.
we're down here as the Federation dealing with this race, that means this race must have warp travel, right? Otherwise, we would be breaking the Prime Directive.
That is correct. The Prime Directive is a very strange thing and such, but yes, they do have an early version of warp, like Zephram Cochrane with in First Contact. A little bit beyond that, but
Okay, so we don't necessarily have records on how this race does outside of their atmosphere.
no.
Okay, well then that is an interesting question that I would like to look into. If I can examine some of the locals at some point in the future, find out if these minerals are part of them, and then try and get a connection. Because if it's something that would affect them as they go space traveling and entering other atmospheres and leaving this planet, that would be something fascinating for everyone involved to know. Especially before we go pulling a research team out that's developing minerals in their muscles.
I have to say, I love this game of Star Trek right now because you come in with a basic idea, and then your players throw wacky shit at the wall, and I'm not specifically saying that was the wacky shit, but like, the game that we're having is not at all the game that I was writing up, and so far I'm just having a great time, and I can easily see campaigning based
This
on
is
that.
this is how the writer's room works. You got to keep up.
That's right. By all means, you guys can talk to Colette Var about, which was come up earlier, about getting some medical, further medical information on the people here.
Okay.
So, you guys continue on unless there is a question on your current scan.
I don't think so.
Okay. You guys continue on moving through, and like a city, there's an outskirts, even though that starts a bit more abruptly than a lot of cities because they're focused into small, constricted dwellings. And as you go deeper and deeper in, things get built up more and more. Everything here, you guys can easily tell, has been around for hundreds of years on the dwellings, and you move in. Things get built up taller and taller, and at the city center, things are reaching from floor to ceiling.
Do the tricorder mapping that they do. I want to try and get an idea of these buildings.
Okay. Just have general scan of the buildings.
Yeah. For our records, because it sounds really cool.
And Angston is able to tell you, a little bit about things as you guys are moving through. That the outskirts is a lot of dwellings. The central area is the specific building that is reaching floor to ceiling. That is their religious building, and is grown basically at the same. Yes, it does. At the same way, from what he was able to gather, as basically stalactites, stalagmites, and that they became very, very skilled with making buildings like that, and then shaping them as they have, done that calcification and such. You guys get there. He introduces you to Colette Var. The guy is, like I described, that humanoid frame, that very short neck, the head mostly impacted between the shoulders, the ruddy skin with some heavy lithoderms in the skin and such. And Alice, you're able to go through with some of what Bakai talked about on basic, the basic etiquette that you guys have. That's another thing that you can do with momentum, is you can create advantages. So just like you guys have that interesting asteroids, which we're going to come back to, I'm certain, at some point, and the biological mineral deposits that are complications for you guys at the moment, you guys can create advantages that are going to be mostly beneficial type things. By spending momentum.
Bakai was exceptionally detailed.
So I am precise to a fault.
Precise to a fault.
So very Cardassian.
Yes, so I am very much able to utilize my cultural studies and xenodiplomacy and implement all of it.
Oh, yeah. So I have, when it comes to that, I have a trait which I'm trying to understand for being. It's got a long thing here. Where's the description of it? Dang it. Hold on.
Sure thing.
Oh, when I assist a superior, the superior gains a bonus momentum. So, yes, every time I use my knowledge on their stuff that we looked up to assist you, you get bonus stuff.
Awesome. Well, we get
so
a bonus
I'll
momentum
with
to
everything.
Mm-hmm.
We'll just
That's awesome.
assume.
Yes, that you are very good, and that is a Cardassian specific, as you can see. Talent, is it? Yeah, talent. And because they are good with duty and determination.
All right. Just wanted to throw that out there, since we're using that info that was looked up.
Awesome.
So, but yes, Colette Var, I greet you. It has been many years since the Federation has been here. We have hosted your scientists, welcomed them amongst us as we welcome you this day.
Thank you. I am Commander Vringsta Alxia. These are members of my crew: Kyle Gibbs, my Chief Science Officer; Kanar, my Chief Security Officer; Bakai Rajal, my Chief Medical Officer.
Hello.
We are very honored to have you host us. Thank you.
So, by all means, he will talk with you guys, and seems quite willing to talk to you guys. Is there anything that you want to specifically talk to him about? Normally, I'd do more, just kind of role playing, but we've burned up 2 hours already.
I know, right? So that's why I'm like, normally I'd role play our information download, but we've been going at it. Do you have? May we speak with your medical officer or your doctors and your scientists? I'm very interested in the exchange of knowledge between our types of science studies.
Is that not why Dr. Belfry has been here for this time that he was with us?
Absolutely, but only 2 years is not going to give him more knowledge than you and your impressive doctors that have been studying this for quite literally generations. I would be humbled to gain knowledge at the feet of your greatest learned men.
What he said.
He looks impressed, and at what you guys are saying, proud to be, one of the Krol Kax that you guys have been working with. And he says, by all means, we would welcome further exchange. Will you and your crew be staying with us then, as the doctor has?
Unfortunately,
and he does these kind of gestures
yeah.
with his arms and such, and
if it's part of the customary diplomacy, I will do the gestures with my arms too. If it's partial sign language,
the gestures are like part of their communication and such, and so
I will attempt to do it as well because Brandon wants me to look silly on camera.
No. Because what I was going to say is that that Angston says that that it's something that you guys don't understand, that the humans don't understand, and so it's not one that
He's flipping me the bird secretly.
It provides additional information, but that's not something that the translators work with, basically.
Okay. Am I able to pick up on it through empathy?
You definitely do pick up through empathy, and this is subtext. The way that a person is saying something can often be more important than what they're saying.
Mm-hmm.
This is the way he's saying something. Your empathy is able to pick up on what that is. Go ahead and give me your insight command.
Sure thing. You know what? What's going to be my success? What's my DC right now?
We're going to go with a difficulty 1, and the penalties for failure is misunderstanding.
Yeah, I'm going to burn a momentum. Since we've got 4 right now in the pool, I'll burn a momentum. What was the
difficulty 1?
What? No, insight and what?
Insight command.
Okay. Oh, cool. Oh, nice. 2 crits. And
your xenodiplomacy specifically is applying here. So.
Well, 2 1s and a 13. So I made all my dice, but the 2 1s are 4 each. Become 4. So 5.
So
successes.
5 successes. So 4 momentum.
Okay.
By all means, he swelled up with pride, just like you kind of thought that he did. Your empathy confirms that, and the gestures that he is making are kind of it's very politician.
I want a hug.
See, I am big, I am important. These are important people that are with me. We are doing big things that are important.
Bigly.
Yes, and he's it's a big moment for him. You guys impressed him with your kind words, with Dr. Bakai's kind words, and all. And so the people that are around, he's kind of like, this is an important moment. This is a historic moment, and I'm the guy.
I'm the guy going down in history. Cool.
Yeah, and so he is your read on him just from dealing with him seems to be accurate to the way that your empathy is going.
Okay.
Do you have questions? Would you like to create an advantage with 2 of those momentum?
Yeah, I think that we would. Since Dr. Bakai, you impressed, do you want to name the advantage?
How does that work? I
So have you played Fate?
No.
Okay. Basically,
putting him on the spot.
Go ahead.
Oh,
I was going to say I would throw in, because we've impressed them so much. I would say something like positive cultural relations. Since they have the party coming up, I would say cultural understanding or something like that. We've got an idea of what all this means now and can use it.
That's what I was going for. Yep.
Cultural understanding. All right.
So
What
you
does
guys.
that mean?
So just to review, that means if later cultural understanding would help us out, we can say we've got the advantage on that.
Exactly.
And what that will do is, let's say, like, you're looking for a target number of 12, that would increase that target number to a 13 if that cultural understanding is important.
Okay.
So it can make things
Can I
easier
toss out a
for us.
question?
Yeah.
Brandon,
You're a little muffled right now, by the way.
Oh, better?
There you go. Much better.
One question I'd like to toss out is, I see him gesturing, because this is a politician, correct?
Yes.
As
He
I'm watching
is the leader of, basically the president of the planet.
Okay, as I watch his hands moving around and knowing what we know about this party/festival that's coming up, does he have the hands of a warrior too? Has he had to fight?
No. He,
Okay.
Is this going to count against our momentum?
No.
Okay.
I will not count that against your momentum. He does not have hands of a warrior. You don't think he doesn't have the musculature of a warrior as you look at him.
Okay, it just speaks to how this festival goes down is what I'm trying to learn.
Yeah.
So.
And he says, please, will you join us while we during our festival to bridge these relations with our people, and we can celebrate as we destroy the Dark Ones for once and for all.
Destroy the Dark Ones.
Yes.
When you say once and for all, you mean this would be the last of these festivals you'll ever hold? Or is this a... I'm sorry, I still don't understand how these things work.
He looks a little confused. Perhaps the translation didn't work on that because you guys are using whatever, universal translator.
Mm-hmm.
These beings have plagued us for generations. Our people have never known a life where they were not responsible for the hardships of the Krol Kax, and perhaps Kelkor Va, if you wish the history of this matter, could explain these things to you. Kelkor Va is a leader in our faith.
We would be honored if Kelkor Va would enlighten us as to the importance of your faith and understand this plague upon your people. How do you intend to destroy them once and for all?
The festival, as you call it, we will prepare and bless all of our sacred warriors before we send them to ascend and clear the atmosphere and the space from all the hardships that have been left with us from these people.
Ascend, as in go to the surface?
And beyond.
Do you have a ship? Sorry, go ahead.
Yes.
Go, Bakai. You had a question?
Yeah, but it's an out-of-character question.
Okay.
I will. Can I get the group aside so it's not obvious that we're just... I would like to talk to just my crewmates.
Yeah, I kind of want to do that too right now.
By all means, I will go and see if Kelkor Va would be able to come and accept you as supplicants for information.
Yes, please do so. We appreciate your hospitality and kindness.
Doing something.
All right, so he takes off to go deal with that. So you guys can have some moments to yourselves.
Okay.
They're going to mass murder everyone.
Yeah.
Yeah, we are.
So,
we are about to.
Out there.
Not just we are about to intervene in a long-standing conflict that we do not know anything about.
Correct.
How it started, why it is still going on, what these, as they call them, crocs are, or why they're sending their holy people to ascend. There is many unanswered questions here.
My question, again, and it plays into the fact that this is Star Trek. So, is this a metaphorical or a physical battle? Are these metaphorical or physical enemies? And how many people are we about to watch mass sacrificed in order to ascend them up to clear things out?
Right. So basically,
those are my three questions.
Yeah, because it's, if it's metaphorical or if it's physical, because if it's metaphorical, then the amount of people they're sending up they're about to sacrifice to death. Or if it's physical, then they're sending a bunch of people up to go murder other people. So it sounds like one way or another, there's a mass group of death.
This is what the Prime Directive is supposed to be about. So we just sit back and go, interesting. Well,
Oh yeah, because the captains never mess with the Prime Directive one bit.
So at this point, I'm going to hail our ship.
You are
I
getting
mean, if
no
they want to have
reception
Space
down
Jonestown,
here.
they can have a Space Jonestown.
Oh boy.
Sorry. Nice.
You get no reception down here, Alice.
With
Okay.
mineral flavored Kool-Aid.
Yep. Well,
Well, you all should go talk to the religious leader and find that out. I'll go find a doctor and discuss mineral deposits.
Captain, do you want me to try and get connection with the communication with the ship? I can try to boost our signal. Something
Yes.
with technobabble.
yes, please. Yes, please, Officer Gibbs. Please do so. We could use some more information. If they are about to send people to ascend, we need to see if we can gather further information from the ship. Thank you.
Or if you would like, I could return to the ship on the transporter pad, and I can try to do whatever research you're looking to get done.
You are our best suited for the job. So if you would like, do so, and you can send down red shirt number 5.
Sure. All right. So
repeat,
Kyle,
Ensign Leibowitz.
Ensign Leibowitz.
Kyle's going to transfer back to the ship, take the walk back and all. Well, you guys are doing things here, and then transport up. So we'll get back to Kyle in just a minute. Let's go to Bakai. Yes, you are able to get doctors and to do a few scans on the local people while Kyle is walking.
All right. What can I find out then about? Because I guess the question of the mineral deposits might be nothing, but it's all I've got to pursue, and it could be everything. So how does this mineral take place in their bodies, and what's their relationship to it physiologically?
Sure. Those lithoderms that they've got, those basically bone growths, are that mineral deposit, and the way that it manifests. They're young. They don't really have them that much, but as they grow older, they begin to manifest and grow up through their skin and such. It's just part of what they are living with.
Okay, then a question for them, which I suppose whichever doctor I'm talking to would know. They moved underground a few hundred years ago, correct?
Most of their people live underground. There are some farmers and ranchers and such that still live on the surface, and they can all go to the surface. They do regularly, but they shelter underground. It was, long before any of them, can remember, or anyone that they knew remembered. The structure that's here, that calcification of the religious temple, they didn't used to use the subterranean world as their place, and so that came after, and that building has been set for a long time. You guys can obviously see. So hundreds of years ago, perhaps more.
So I'd want to know if they know if these growths only started coming after they moved underground, and if people who live on the surface for extended periods of time have them as well.
The people on the surface have them, but they're much smaller. That they show up much later in life, things like that.
Okay. And do they have any records if that was a new thing when whatever catastrophe happened? That
records from before the catastrophe are very hard to come by.
Okay. Well, all right. Then my only question would be, like the commander asked, if there would be any problems. If they're just a mineral deposit under the skin, it doesn't sound like there would be a problem if the crew that was here for 2 years is developing them as well. But I'd still want to get some of that mineral to analyze to find out and be sure.
Sure. Go ahead and you're going to be basically scanning to try and find strong sources of that. So go ahead and give me your reason science.
All right. Ow. I know that it is technically a mineral, but since we're dealing with a biological mineral compound, would my toxicology focus come into play?
I think that, I would allow that. I've thought about that already for you.
All right.
Should we have Lieutenant Gibbs help?
He is on his way to the ship, remember?
Ah,
Klingon, do you have science reason? Sorry, shouldn't call you Klingon. I completely forgot your name.
Kanar.
that is all right. That is all right.
That's probably the thing that he's worst at, I think.
Yes. Yes, reason and science, yes, that is not my area of expertise, Rajal.
All right.
Lieutenant Rajal.
Well, I will spend 1 point of momentum then, since I don't have an aid with me. And okay. So I got a 1 and a 20.
Ooh.
Okay.
So a crit and a complication.
A crit and a complication.
And a 15, which is a success. So I got a success, a 1, and a 20.
Okay. And just
A 1 is a crit automatically. So you
so
crit.
that's 3 successes and a complication.
Mm-hmm.
So just so you guys know, on those values that you have, if there's the determination that we talked about, and I know there's 3 different types of metacurrency in this game, one of which you guys don't need to worry about that much, and so it can be a bit much. You guys, if there's a negative action that your values would push you towards, by all means, call on that. And since these are one-shot characters, I don't know their values that well. I've just got the character that I came up with in my brain that I threw down on the sheet and such, and threw some values on them. But you can get more determination through those values giving you a negative in some way. It's basically like hero points in a lot of games, Mutants and Masterminds being a primary example of one.
So like using the value to get a negative?
Yes.
Because I'm precise to a fault and knowledge is power, if that would apply.
Well, if you've got, a way, and it's not just a negative on the roll, but, compel you to a certain action, or an example in the book is that Worf's blood would be used by Dr. Crusher to save somebody, but it's somebody that Worf absolutely hates, and so he compels his value against them, and it probably related to the House of Moog or something like that. And so he could get a determination by saying, no, I'm not going to help. I'm not going to do that right thing to help the crew and what they want right now.
Okay.
So if those types of things come up.
For me, for example, I'm about to flag one, and to be honest with what we were talking about, once we have more research, because I have emotion guides action, and so the don't interfere, I'm going to say, well, I'm going to interfere anyways, I'm the EXO, and my emotion guides action, therefore, screw the prime directive, I'm going to take a negative and get a determination for it.
Okay.
So I already have that planned for once we find out more information.
All right. So what are my 3 successes and a complication?
It is in the water. The water has a heavy amount of the calcification, or not calcification, of the mineral that it has been gathering in their bodies. Where this is, their water filtration is still running, they aren't showering with that water. They're showering with local water.
So it's transported through water and skin contact is allowed. So the further we are underground, the moister it is, the more buildup people get.
Yep.
All right. Then the only other question would be if it is harmful in any way.
And if you become dependent on it.
Yeah, if it'll be an oddity or if this is the new drug of our away team.
Well, since you're wondering about the harmful properties, and Alice talked about the volatility in those asteroids possibly earlier, as you are able to now, actually analyze bigger portions of it and such, you do think that it is a volatile mineral, and so where in the body it is basically doing, it's in an inert state. However, when exposed to dangerous activities, phaser fire, things like this can start the reaction and lead to, boom.
So it's inert in the people, or it can be activated in the people? What do I shoot that will explode?
What was that, Alice?
I just now have a picture of them blessing their people, and the people are going boom, 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 exploding
Boom,
everywhere.
boom, boom! Yay!
I told you guys they were going to explode. I told you.
I know, you did, and I called the water thing. I totally called it in the water.
I love how we're like this Star Trek team, but we're just like, yeah, I called it! It's turning into bombs through the water! Yeah!
I can just see Geordi and Data doing a fist bump after Geordi called it,
That's what I need in my Star Trek revival next time they do that.
Okay,
anyway,
I think we're having a little fun.
But you said it was inert in the body but could be activated in the body. So it is a volatile chemical. It gets into an inert state when it enters someone's body but can be reactivated?
Through certain action, basically can be activated and have semi-disastrous results.
I don't suppose we could get a breakdown of what actions could activate it and how a religious ceremony will involve them?
I think we know where to get those answers, and that's going to talk to the religious figure.
You know how they have like 8 candles for Hanukkah? They're going to light 8 people and blow them up.
My phone rings so rarely. Sorry, Alice.
It's okay. I'm like, Brandon's phone. Noise on my end.
So, through general activity is not going to be activating them, but through phaser blasts that strike them or things like that, high energy will start that kind of volatility, which would probably greatly injure the person that's there, possibly killing them, and depending on how big this reaction is, you're just starting on it, on being able to figure this out, might lead to large explosions, especially on some of these people that have very, very large lithoderms.
Translation: if you kill them, they become an AoE.
Yeah.
I know, I've been thinking about the board game application. Very interesting. Not at all the way I thought any of this would go, but it's been great. So,
create our own problems.
That's where Dr. Bakai goes off to Kanar and Vringsta.
Vringsta, yes.
Anything? Well, Kyle is walking, and you guys are waiting for Kelkorva.
I am just going to interact with the local people. Well, actually, Kanar, I'll wait for you you've been quiet a lot.
Oh, well, and I'm kind of doing it on purpose, just so you guys know. It's not that he's got that veteran officer thing. His career is like he watches everyone else do their thing, just waiting for stuff to go sideways.
Okay.
And then he leaps in the action to fix that stuff. But he will.
And with us, I assume that happens often.
Yes. So
I'm going to find out about the warriors that they're going to be blessing, and if any of them are available to speak to me. And I want to find out if they're eating any special diet today or going through any ritual preparations.
The people that you're with will tell you that the warriors are in basically solemn prayer at the moment. Kanar is just kind of waiting for the other shoe to drop. Bakai is off getting readings. Kyle finishes his walk back. He gets to the point where you guys have the machine, the computer set up for communication, and is able to raise the Libertas on that. The Libertas The Libertas moves back closer into range so that it can get you on transporters, Kyle, and beams you back up to the ship. You are back at home, where you desire to be. What would
This
you
is
like
safe.
to do while you're here?
I like it here. This is safe. I hope you guys have fun down there. I would like to go. The XO didn't really give me any directive on what she wanted me to research.
I think she said do what you want.
Okay. So I'm going to go. I'm going to go pull up some scanners and see if I can detect any incoming heavenly bodies or anything that has like a trajectory to arrive tomorrow that correlates with the Dark One's vessel or planetoid that's coming back into range of the world.
Gotcha.
I did
You
give
were
some
going
directive.
there to try and clean up communications, was one of the things that you had mentioned.
Well,
Yes.
and I wanted to find out about. I specifically wanted to find out if, like he said, heavenly bodies that, and also if further scans determine that there are life signs on the surface or signs of any civilization on the surface, stuff like that.
Sure. You get back onto the ship. You are making your way to the bridge, and all of a sudden, some klaxons start sounding, basically telling people to be on alert. It's I want to use red alert, but that's more like something is going to fight. But basically, you get right onto the bridge and find out that there is a massive increase in gravimetric distortion in the local system. You guys are pulling away from the planet again, but there is a massive pull locally on different gravimetric eddies and such like that are going on and trying to rip the ship apart.
Well, that's not good.
Yeah, so you wanted to start doing some scans, so let's get to it.
I think I found it.
So, this definitely sounds like your reason and your science using computers, too.
And don't forget the ship
Cool.
die. You get a die from the ship since you're up there.
Right. And the ship is the white plastic one.
And
Okay.
so the Libertas would be using sensors and science.
Sensors and science.
So it's a 12, target number 12 for the ship with a 3 for the crit.
All right. Well, I did roll an 8 for the ship, so that is one success for the ship. And my reason and science is a 15, so I got a 15 and a 3. So is that 2 other successes?
And you're using computers, so that
So I get
is
an additional success per.
Yeah, well, an additional success for the 3 because that rolled under your science value.
Right.
Okay. So you come out with 4 successes. So, scanning into the gravimetric disturbances, you are able to pick up with sensors that there is a massive rip going on in the space-time continuum in the local vicinity at the moment.
Oh, well, that's not ominous at all.
That is difficulty 1, so you have generated 3 momentum. Alice, what's our pool at?
Our pool is at 8.
8 pools. So,
how much sanity damage do I take?
That's what you burn that momentum for. To stop that.
Looking into the eye of the abyss.
Perfect day today, Hey, what's the Batman line? You don't get the hero that you deserve. You get the hero that you need. We didn't get the Star Trek that we needed. We got the Star Trek we deserved.
Yes.
Can I, other than the gravity well tearing the ship apart, do I know if that's going to be something that's real bad for us, so we should move the ship?
Whoever's at the helm at the moment is by all means moving the ship. By the way, no, that one's not dedicated. When attempting a task, each d20 that generates 2 generates 1 bonus. So you got 1 more momentum because of your dedicated focus with computers.
Cool.
We are at 9 momentum.
So, what questions do you have for me?
Do I think that the rip in the space-time continuum is going to make establishing communications with the away team more difficult?
Yes, you don't think that's going to make it any easier, and I'll go ahead and spend 2 threat to go ahead and establish a complication of Terran space-time continuum. That's not a real question, though. So no, nothing was spent for it.
Okay.
Do I detect that a body is coming through the rip?
Yes, you do. That's still not a full question. If you want to ask a follow-up question about that body, I will definitely.
I would assume
How large is the body?
I would assume the lone tentacle makes it obvious, but
Yeah, right. Is it like a planet-sized body? Is it like a cluster of ships? Is it...
You find emerging from this tear a dwarf planet is emerging. This dwarf planet has massive sections of it that have been torn off of the planet, giving it very much like a Return of the Jedi, a Death Star kind of look, where you've got big sections taken out. The surface is similarly destroyed. Unlike the planet of Krol Kax, the surface on this one is absolutely decimated. There is not that plant life. There is not that villages that are out there that are small. This place looks like it has gotten hammered.
Does the planet appear to be made of the same interesting geological compounds as the asteroid field or the debris around?
It does. It seems almost entirely made up of that, as well as some other compounds. But the core of the planet that probably during this beating that it is taken in whatever asteroids that it has passed through or whatnot, has basically destroyed most everything else on the planet and just left mostly that core.
Can I determine if it looks like the planet was attacked, or does it look like it collided with Krol Kax?
The planet it looks like it's mostly heavenly bodies that have probably beaten the garbage out of it. That's not going to be a question. That's just kind of as you've asked a good enough question that would be something you'd get as well.
So we're only down to 8 momentum. We've only spent 1
So
question.
I think he spent 2.
2. Okay, we're down to 7.
And are there any life signs coming from this dwarf planet?
Yes, there are. And we're gonna pause the scene right there as down in the caves, all of a sudden a great activity begins to pick up. The Kelkor Va, who was coming to talk with all of you guys, since this has happened, he stops and he begins talking, in a booming voice that is transmitting basically throughout the cavern and such. You guys hear that the time of the final battle has arrived. And that the Dark Ones have returned, and for the safety of all of Krol Kax, they must drive them back for once and for all.
So, just to recap, we're on a planet. Another planet has come out of a rip in space and time. This apparently happened many times in the past. There's people on these 2 planets, and they're about to fight a war?
Yep.
Is this... I'm understanding this all correctly, right?
Previously on Star Trek Libertas.
That's the picture I have as well. So
that's the picture I have as well.
Okay, so I guess we should go to this other planet and say hi to them and see what they think of this?
I would agree with that statement.
yeah.
Though I would personally, though, like to use my trivia focus and go dig through the records of the planet we're on to find the records of the previous conflicts. Like, do we have a record of us the time this war started, or anything like that? And the rest of you can go play diplomacy.
I'm willing to go do that. I'm good at that.
This sounds excellent.
Okay. So,
Okay. I want to find out information because if these two groups, I want to know if these two groups have even talked to each other, or if this is just a celestial planets colliding every 100 years, or what.
Excellent idea, Doctor. Excellent idea.
So, yeah, how do I do that then?
Well, that's an excellent question.
I would think we need to get back to the ship.
yeah, I think at this point we're going to diplomatically excuse ourselves and, say that we wish to learn more about this and all, and get our butts back to the ship so that we can go on to the next step.
On the way out to the ship, just in case things, go sideways, as Kennard fully expects them to do, can I do something with their, they've got their transporter enhancer thing for the pattern?
Yeah, the pattern enhancers.
I want to see if I can do something like that so we can, tap our communicators and get our transporter people to transport us from wherever we are back here.
Okay. This sounds brilliant. This sounds definitely like you're going to be scavenging stuff.
Yes.
So at least you've got that going for you. But this is your reason engineering, which is better than your reason science.
Yes,
But
it is.
however,
go ahead, Alice, go.
Before we excuse ourselves, I have two things I want to do and find out.
Okay, sure.
One, was the last time they collided within the lifetime of these creatures of the Krol Kax, or is it basically,
No,
my
nobody
great
here
great
remembers
grandfather?
that time.
Okay, exactly. So it's my great great grandfather was in the last conflict. Okay, so that was my first question. Second thing is, I'd like to point out now that I have diffused the tension, and I would like to attempt to persuade them to hold off on this because our people have determined that there is more information and that the celestial beings, that the celestial beings may. This conflict may be through misunderstanding, and we wish to try and clear the misunderstanding for them so that they will no longer have to sacrifice their warriors or other people's lives. Just hold off for a little bit. And I have diffused the tension, so when you attempt a task to persuade someone not to resort to violence, you may add a bonus d20 to your dice pool.
So, here we have our handy-dandy Method's Guide to Being Effective in Star Trek Social Combat, which I'm really hoping kind of helps me guide through. But Star Trek Adventures does have social combat, which you want to basically pick what you're trying to do. So this is, you're in a negotiation effectively, and I'm just going to break the system down super quick on my very basic understanding of it, because I've never done it before. And so basically, one way or another, if you're in social combat, you're in a negotiation, because you want something and the other side wants something. So you pick what you're asking them. Sometimes this can be, something that they'll agree with, something they'll disagree with, or something that you will never get from them, which means there is no roll made, and you'll have to adjust your opening stance. There is, how are you trying to get this? Are you lying to them? Do you have evidence? Are you intimidating? And such, and then you make your roll and such like that. But they made a nice little system in reading, which by all means is not the system I'm the most familiar with, but that there is something to help try and resolve. Because Star Trek, let's face it, you come across this all the time, where the Federation is trying to convince people of one thing. They're black on the left, I'm black on the right. You guys are the same, but they will not see it that way. And so I was very glad that they had something in there for social combat.
So, great leader. We wish.
So, who are you talking to?
I'm going to go talk to the religious leader. Well, the leader that likes us, actually. The cultural understanding. Actually.
So you want to talk to Kolat Var?
Yeah, Kolat Var. Koletvar, we have been gathering information on the space around your planet, and we believe that there may be a misunderstanding between your people and what is going on. We wish to save the lives of your great warriors to protect from more local
Now,
threats.
remember, Alice, you guys have no information about what Kyle has discovered.
Oh, that's true.
I can't communicate with you guys yet.
Not yet. That's true. Not yet.
See, instead of trying to clear up the communication problem, he went to start scanning, which meant I had to jump ahead.
I apologize. I forgot about that. Okay. The information that I would act on would be based off of him giving us some information at the moment. I forgot that you jumped back and, you jumped back in time a little bit and ahead. So I can't do this yet, I don't think. And us excusing ourselves, we have no cause to at the moment.
Yeah, if that's the case, then we know none of this has happened.
Yep.
Well, no, you guys know something has happened because the religious leader was on their way and then, stops. They're on their way to talk to you, stops, and then starts their speech. Something happened.
Okay, so we do know that
That
the other
you
people
do know.
We know the other people are arriving, so that would give us a cause to, as the doctor suggested, go find out what's up with them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I will say.
And so this, by all means, up until and what Alice was talking about, I could even see, talking about, trying to convince them of something. But
I have an alternative at this point.
Okay.
Great Krol Kax. From my understanding, your people and their people, it has been many generations since the last conflict. Perhaps rather than losing lives on both sides again, we could bring the two of you to the table and diplomatize and see about coming to a mutual understanding. It is possible that this whole feud started with a misunderstanding of culture or some small little trivial thing. Will you allow us to give us some time to investigate, speak with them, and see if it is just for you to obliterate them? If so, we will back you on that. But give us time to see if we can I am going to flag that I am emotion guides action, so I am going to say that stupidly. I already thought about that before that. But give us time to ensure that there is no alternative. I do not wish to see your warriors sacrifice themselves if it is unnecessary. I am certain that their wives, their children, their brothers, their sisters, their parents, you would not wish to lose them.
This is a battle that we have lived with. We cannot be on the surface because they come to rain destruction upon us. They have polluted the space around our planet.
Allow us to find out what is going on. Give us a little time.
Anybody doing anything to help Vringsta, by the way? The other two of you down on the planet still are there.
I figure
I can give her my... sorry.
Go. No.
I have my assist people trait, which will give her an extra momentum.
Awesome.
As far as how to do that, I have... Okay. Can I'm still not sure entirely on how these things work, but I have a trait called I have a talent or whatever called Doctor's Orders, that when I try to coerce someone into taking or refraining from a specific course of action, I can use medicine instead of command.
Nice.
Now, would that apply in any way to coercing this guy, or would command make it I have to be, I don't know, talking to a subordinate or something?
You can totally...
At the very least, I can...
Yeah,
I can totally... Oh, sorry?
Sorry. I was just going to say you can totally do that, and basically, it's just that you use a scientific reason to change
medical.
Medical.
A medical.
Yeah.
Medical. So who are we talking to? The chief religious officer or whatever?
Not the religious guy, the president. Kolat Var, the one that was talking with you earlier with the gestures.
Okay, the president. All right. Then I think I can totally come up with a way to do that. But
I love it.
Do it.
These people, they is the Federation the first group of aliens they have dealt with outside of this ancient enemy?
Yes.
Because you said they were beginning war. Okay. Mr. whatever his name is, you have a great I don't care what he's. You have a great long history with your people dealing with this terrible circumstance you've been put into. But you must remember, we are from space. There are hundreds, thousands of species out there just like ours. It could be that as you sit here and plan war, they are also planning war with weapons that you have never seen before that could destroy all of you in an instant. There is so much to know scientifically about what's going on, and you have at your disposal the greatest scientific and biological thinker in this area of the quadrant. Thank you very much. I implore you to give us time to find out what is going on. You have the chance right now to make history specifically at saving your people. That didn't quite go into medicine, but it was an appealing thing. But doctor's orders, you need to let us examine them, examine you, and find out what is exactly going on before your entire species is destroyed.
You know, here was the sphere of medicine, and there was you hitting the tangent of it. You almost got there, but I'll give it to you because I loved it.
I kind of heard him going, I'm a Cardassian that just had dinner with a Ferengi.
I don't know. It came out somehow.
It was awesome.
Talk around it.
It was awesome.
I will give you the medicine instead of command with your doctor's orders.
So he gave me a momentum, which translates to a die. I have an extra die because it's diplomatizing. I only need to spend 1 momentum from our pool.
Well, he should roll his aid.
Oh, sure.
Because he does have to do that to give you the bonus die, I believe.
Okay. What's the attribute?
So this is going to be your presence. Presence and medicine.
Oh.
Presence and medicine. Made it. 7.
Awesome. Right.
Okay. So he gives me 1 momentum, but that means I have to spend 2 out of the pool because it would be my second die out of momentum, right? I believe. So I have to spend.
So, the superior gains bonus momentum. So, yes, that would that momentum can be translated into an extra die.
Right. So I'm going
which
to
would
spend
bring you to 4 dice.
4 dice. So I'm going to spend one die out of the pool, which is 2 momentum.
Then to buy the other die, you'd have to spend 2 momentum because I would think that your ability would cover the 3 momentum die.
Right. So I spent 2 momentum.
It's 2 momentum from the pool, 1 momentum from the dock.
Yep, that's exactly what I did.
Cool.
Okay. I got 2 crit successes because my command gives me 2. Sorry, my command is a 5. So I have 3 crit successes, 2, 3, and 5. I have a success, and then I have a 20. I have 3 crit successes, though. So that's 6, 7, and the 20. So 7 successes and a 20. I think I'm going to call my determination point and re-roll that 20.
Remember, you can't say, I don't want a complication, just take threat, Brandon.
Brandon, just take threat. I've taken plenty of complications so far.
So I get 2 threat into the pool because of that.
And if it matters at all, we know the local customs to help you out on that. That gives you another success.
That increases her target number by 1, giving her. But she sounds like she rolled pretty low.
Yeah, I rolled. I rolled 7 successes total.
Yes. All right. You think that you can solve this problem for us? That we will not need to go to the war?
Yes, we think we can.
This would be beneficial for all. The war costs lives. I do not wish for that. But I must tell you, I am not the only say in this. Kelkor Va has great power. I do not believe that this is part of the beliefs of our people, that they would so easily turn away from this. I can keep our fighters grounded for the time that we have built for this. That is the reason that we have studied warp technology, to be able to truly deal with this problem that has come to us time and again. But this will only last for so long until Kelkor Va takes my power away, and we'll make certain that these ships are launched.
We will
Can
work
you
quickly.
protect us during this time?
Yes, we will work quickly. We will work quickly. We will return to our ship and investigate immediately.
Commander, I would be in your debt if you could come with some way to save our people's lives, please.
Then let us not waste time. We head out.
I too will head out to
buy you time.
Military command.
Okay, so we got it, and with 7 successes, what was my DC? I forgot to ask before that.
4.
4. So I banked 3 momentum. We're up to 8 momentum.
It was something extremely hard to convince him of.
Well, it's why I burned every die possibility I could.
And with that success, you could have convinced him of anything.
Apparently.
As long as it wasn't something that he would just say, no.
Yep.
There's nothing you can give me that would make me say yes to
like
that.
a Ferengi with, will never say no to profit. Yep, got it.
But
you could have convinced him, though, that this is all a dream,
But, as a wise doctor once said, we are from space! So, Dr. B, are you staying on the planet, or are you going in the end?
I honestly kind of want to look through their own historical records on this war, this religion, this people. Have they had any contact? How does the destruction reign? I want to get as much of their info as I can, and then I can beam it up to the rest of you as you go talk to them and figure things out.
Okay.
Or as someone else. I don't know. I think other people are better at computers than me. So maybe I'm just reaching because it's something I think should be done.
The only person better than you at computers is up in the ship already.
Yeah, because you're dealing with your XO and your security officer who probably wants to be on that ship.
Yep.
The best reason to do it is because the doctor thinks he should.
All right.
Yep.
So I'll do that, and I can red shirt across with you guys. But yeah, I'll stay down here and pull up any historical information I can find.
Okay, this sounds awesome. I am trying to find something real quick in the book. Kevin, do you got the book on you?
No, not handy. I'd have to go digging it out.
What do you need to look up, Brandon?
There. I think that's it. Okay. Choose the character's role. First and foremost, player is this. Creation and play. Oh, no, that's something totally different. I'm trying to find the supporting character creation rules.
Well, why don't you keep moving on, and I'm going to find that for you.
Awesome. All right, so Kevin, as you guys are trucking back to the pattern enhancers,
yep.
You had a plan on establishing communications.
Well, yeah, more than communications is we can have this enhancer, like, tap the communicator wherever we are, our ship transfers us back to here, should we need to get here. And now, because the doc has decided to stay, I'm going to play with the rules a little to see how this works. One of my values is no one left behind.
Okay.
So I'm going to burn my determination to set a die that automatically rolls a 1, if I read that rule correctly.
Yes.
And then I'm going to roll, so you said scavenging would count, so I'm going to roll 3 dice versus it would be engineering plus reason, correct?
Yes. Now, why are we at 3 dice? I hear 2 dice, and then there was a die that rolled a 1.
That I spent my determination for a die that automatically rolls a 1.
Yep.
I'm burning my determination because my value, no one left behind, is being triggered.
Yep.
And then my scavenging comes into play, right, for an extra die.
So, no, that's not a die on scavenging. That's the focus. So at that point,
okay. So just
you're critting on a 3 and below.
Okay, perfect. Well, that is 1 success and a 16. So
Okay, but
Yeah,
you've
three
got
successes
3
total.
successes total because of that. You remember you could have burned a momentum to
Yep.
try and get that extra die, but um, I'm going to say that this was a difficulty 2,
Yep.
and you were able to come up with that as well as bank a momentum. So,
Cool.
what was your primary thing that you were trying to accomplish?
Set it up so we can, wherever we are, if we're on the other planet, the ship, I've enhanced this pattern enough that basically our transporter room on the Libertas can pick us out at someplace. We don't have to stop on the Libertas. We can transport right back here.
Okay.
That's what I'm looking to do. And further the rules, because I'm a veteran officer, I get to roll the fancy Star Trek die, which I'm about to, and I rolled the symbol I needed, which is this.
So you kept your determination.
Kept my determination because I'm a veteran officer.
That is awesome.
So I found the page, Brandon. It is 134 in the standard edition book. And so you go through some steps and you spend some points. I think I might be able to grab us a couple pre-gen ones really quick.
Well, Adam, since you're going to be using a supporting character in the upcoming scene, create their name, create what they do, and pick a race. If you want to go with human, it's even easier, because then I won't have to give you information on race. And then
I'm Jimmy, the human. I don't know what jobs or whatever there are. I mean, I know Star Trek, but I don't know what we need or could be coming in on this.
If you want to be the helmsman, if you guys think, or are you guys planning on going to the planet?
We're going to the other planet that's about to collide in, that's coming out of the rip in space. So you might, a pilot might be good.
Sure. I'll be the security officer with mad pilot skills.
Okay.
Ensign Jimmy.
Ensign Jimmy.
All right, so I just wrote down the attributes. You're going to get a 10, 2 9s, 2 8s, and a 7. And then disciplines, you'll get a 4, a 3, 2 2s, and 2 1s. Assign those as you see on your sheet already, the 6 attributes, the 6 disciplines. Con, if you want to be the pilot, con of 4 would probably be good. The control is probably where you want that 10 to be, which is also your accuracy with a phaser. And then, security and such. And then since you're human, you get to take a +1 to 3 of your attributes, your choice. Most at races get them automatically assigned, but humans can be good in lots of different ways.
Okay. Can I, copy this somehow and then change it?
Absolutely. I'll send you a character sheet in just a moment, a blank one.
Okay, and I'll just plug some traits and disciplines in, and that's really it, attributes and disciplines, and
then just come up with 3 focuses, which, you've seen your character sheet of focus. They can be most anything. Probably 2 things that might be job-related, one being piloting, one being, maybe a part of a security thing if you're looking at that, and then, one for some sort of random hobby that Jimmy has. And the more that Jimmy would come in and appear on the show, he would begin to advance every time that he comes in. This is the first time that we're calling in on a supporting character, and I figured this is a good time to pass that over to you. Thank you so much, Alice, for that that page reference.
You're welcome. And the character sheet, form-fillable character sheet, has been dropped into chat for you, Adam. Go
all right.
Have fun.
Jimmy,
And this
the human.
right here, creating a character like this on the fly, having the supporting cast is one of the things I love about this game, because you can definitely get the Star Trek feel. Putting the party up.
Yep.
All right, so you said I got to add 3
to your attributes, 1, 1, and 1.
Yep, 1, 1.
So
okay.
All right. So the group of you are able to transport back. I assume that you guys are going to the Libertas.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Then let's go ahead and cut back over to Kyle. Kyle, on the Libertas, the planet has ripped through that hole in the space-time continuum, basically, and is here. It is looking horrible the amount of damage that has happened to it, and ships are launching from it. So,
Can I-
what?
Base of the verse.
Can I hail those ships?
Sure. You're basically going to be our representative of the team here at the moment on the bridge. So they're not to you yet. So go ahead and you hail. So let's go ahead and get your presence command.
Oh wow, I got 2 successes, but no critical successes.
Okay, and the Libertas. The Libertas is got its communications of 11 and its command of 3, so it's a 14 is the target number for the Libertas die.
And I got a critical success with the Libertas.
Okay. Did crewman Jimmy say that they were going to help out here?
I suppose I can if we're just throwing out, unless someone else has got better. I'll just.
Well, the others are transferring to this scene. Ensign, or whatever rank, crewman Jimmy is the only one that's really here at the moment.
Okay, well, I got a 3.
Okay, well, that sounds like good. So we're up to 4 successes? Oh, 5, because you crit on the ship.
Yes.
Okay. What is your message there, Kyle?
Excuse me, unidentified vessels. This is the USS Libertas Federation starship. My name is Kyle. Hi. This isn't usually my thing.
We're all fine. How are you?
That's exactly what I was thinking. It's perfect. Yeah.
Apparently, he needs to read the procedural manual for first contact again.
What was that, Alice?
Apparently, Kyle needs to read the procedural manual for first contact again.
You keep just glitching up when you tell me what manual. I assume it's first contact manual.
Yes, first contact manual. Am I better now?
Gotcha. Yeah, much better. It kept dropping you out at the same part. The ships continue on their course, but there is an open up on the frequency that you're using. You see this semi-humanoid, semi-bird, hairy bird kind of look creature. So very much the platypus duck of the Star Trek universe at the moment, because they've got the bird-like beak, but furry and all. And they come back, and the universal translator is only getting part of their language, and so you think that communication with them is pretty questionable. And they come back, and it's like, what are you? Why here? We deal with the prison keepers.
We're here to negotiate. Stand down. Please speak with us.
And how many successes did you end up with?
I think 5 was the total.
Nice.
That's pretty impressive.
And how many successes did he need?
Well, he's trying to get them to stand down.
Admittedly, they came out and found a whole new alien ship there, so I assume this wasn't in their plans.
Right. Why negotiate? They keep us. We lock away. Dark. And now our time. Come back. Why negotiate? They fear?
I don't think they know they've got you locked up. Misunderstanding.
We will destroy the idiots.
No, don't do that. I wish somebody with personality was here.
And that is when the XO and such come onto the bridge. Is that Kyle has got them talking? Well, they are advancing. The ships are closing. They aren't on an attack run right now. So
Okay. So
Kyle, you have amazingly no momentum was earned, but amazingly gotten them to at least listen, because yes, there is a ship that's out here that is not part of their plans.
Yeah, the ship was the one that got the critical success, so I assume it was the ship's commanding presence, not mine.
I signal for Kyle to mute, and I ask him for what's going on. Quick information.
So that planet came out of a rip in the space-time continuum, and a bunch of spaceships flew off to kind of blow everybody up. Oh, and they claim that the people who live on Krol have locked them away, and they're the prisoners.
And then I understood. And so I give you the signal to unmute.
Hello, it's Kyle again. My commanding officer.
Idiots.
My commanding officer is here. You should talk to her now, please. Thank you.
Your subordinate had told us that we have been held prisoner in the dark by idiots, so we will now just bomb them.
By the way, Ensign Jimmy is just over here. If you want me to shoot a photon torpedo at a random bit of debris to scare them into listening, I'm all ready.
Yeah,
I can do that.
Well, Gibbs, Officer Gibbs, can you scan to see? Can you scan and give me a status report on weapon superiority and or weapon status, ours versus theirs, etc. Get a tactical.
Yeah, I can definitely do that. I'm way better at that.
And that was on mute again and unmuting.
All right, hold on. Let's let Gibbs get that information here. So Gibbs, that is going to be doing your reason science, and that will be sensors science for the ship.
Cool. So I got a 5 and a 7 for my rolls, which isn't a critical success, and then I got an 18 for the ship, so I'm going to assume that's a failure.
Okay, yeah. So 5 and a 7, so only 2 successes for you. Those ships, they have updated the computers with the information that Dr. B has come back with on the volatility of these of this deposit, and they seem to have weaponized the deposit into what they're going to be firing. So they're highly effective, probably similar to like Klingon disruptors type thing.
Okay. Are we? But we're able to keep. We're able to stand against them, right?
Well, you guys fight Klingons.
Yep. Okay. Cool.
I make no promises. But...
So, you are now speaking with the First Officer Vringsta Alxia of the USS Libertas. Who am I speaking with?
I am Akar.
Great Akar. We have just come from the planet that you are about to attack. I can assure you that they are attempting to attack you with retaliation as well. We, the Federation, hope to see a amicable resolution with no loss of life. We believe, based on information we have gathered, that this has been a long-standing misunderstanding. But if you two collide again, there will be massive loss of life from both sides. They have comparable weaponry to what you are bringing forth. We have already established that through our scans and our procedural checks.
So you're lying to them, huh?
Mm-hmm. A little bit. We know that. Well, they said that they had ships, they have power, etc. So, I'm expanding a little bit based on that.
There you go. Just saying. Just wanted to make certain I was up on the plan.
Sure.
All right.
We wish to resolve this with no loss of life. and we believe that it is possible because this is a misunderstanding, and your your planet's orbits are in conflict. We hope
Yes,
that.
and you can see both planets because of their close proximity to each other. The gravity is ripping at both those planets, obviously, and the new planet, the Crocs planet, as the Krol Kax have termed it, it brought its own massive, pile of debris field with it,
Okay.
and so the whole area of space locally is just filled with this, and you can see those asteroids colliding and exploding
Is it too
and
bad?
such.
Is it too late to change Jimmy to an engineer? I just realized we need an engineer more.
You've got Jimmy.
Okay.
I have no engineering skill whatsoever.
No problem. No
Engineer, first class, Jimmy, reporting for duty.
Can I swap some stats around?
Sure.
Okay, cool.
You know,
It's more fun if we have to live with it. No, way more fun if we have to live with it.
Well,
sure, that's fine.
Okay.
We got to vote for suck it up, guys.
sure. Vote for suck it up. We'll suck it up.
Yep.
Officer Gibbs, report to engineering. See if they can See if there's anything they can do to divert the planet from collision course.
Yes, ma'am.
I was
that was
telling
to Gibbs.
Gibbs. Gibbs has the power.
Okay, sorry.
Yeah. And Jimmy, go help him.
So obviously, Dr. B is down on the planet, is not actually here right now.
Mhm.
But assuming that he's pulling up this common information, is this more or less what we're viewing? These two planets just get close to each other, rip each other apart, and at least down on the surface, they think they're invaders?
Yes.
Okay.
And,
Okay.
The images that you since Kevin Kanar has set up a communication as well as a teleportation relay that's more secure, that you're able to get in some of the idea from what's going on up there, and their depiction of these people is accurate to what you are seeing through the view screen.
So have they, from my down here trying to analyze their history, have they ever talked? Like they've seen each other physically, but has there ever been an ancient attempt at diplomacy, or is it just they fly ships out and shoot each other while the planets pass?
Universal Translator is a Federation technology that this planet does not have by itself.
Okay. Well, then, for what it's worth, sending out up there to the ship for info, I think that a track to get them to diplomatize would be pointing out the fact that they actually can now, like point out to them that they view the whatever the planet we're on as the jailers, just pointing out that to them, they view them, both groups think they're in prison, and we can totally unlock the gates now for both of them.
I have two ideas. One involves me talking, and then one involves some tech. Did it look like what Alexia said had effect on them? Because I'm ready to speak if it didn't. Or I might anyway to add to what she's doing.
I haven't made her roll yet, so that's in that Schrodinger's cat. It's Schrodinger's diplomacy.
Yeah.
Okay. Uncharacteristically then, Kennard will pipe up from the background. He'll kind of step up behind where Alexia is on the viewer, the view screen. Goes, I am more a warrior than I am a politician. But fighting wars without a reason is the greatest waste of life and resources you can imagine. My people were lifelong enemies with, and I will gesture to Alexia, hers. I'll gesture to Gib, his. Yet here I am. I have served with them for a long time. Peace is harder than war. Try it.
Our planet is in pieces.
The idea is to teleport two of them together.
Well, hold on.
Force them into a meeting.
Well, so the problem is that meeting won't last very long if we can't divert the planets from collision again. So
but once that's done.
Yeah, so I'm sending Gibbs and Jimmy down to engineering to see if they can do, the mumbo jumbo of moving a planet out of the way, which would be the stationary planet, not the planet coming out of the zipper of time-space, because we've seen this done many times in every Star Trek, except for the original. So we need to move a planet out of the way. and we might need to get their help to do it with enough power. So, time to diplomatize. My points of diplomacy are: this has been a long time misunderstanding, and like was said, both sides view the other as the aggressor. Both sides view the other side as the jailer. But the truth is that it is all about science and the planetary alignments, and their planets collide, not having anything to do with the people on the planets, and with the power in the engines of their warships on both sides, we can actually, instead of bringing them to war and causing a loss of life, use the engines together to move the planets so that they no longer collide now or in the future. And that there will be peace and there's the possibility of peace and trade between the people. So, I have the free bonus die for diffusing. So I have 3 dice to start with. Kevin's giving me an assist.
Kevin is attempting to assist. We'll
Yes.
see how that goes on his roll.
So what do you want me to use here?
This definitely sounds like, trying to bring up a sheet. This definitely sounds like presence.
Okay.
And, I would give you command, or I will be nice and I will give you security because you are talking about your personal experiences and such.
Okay. Then you can add a success, Alice. Just the
Awesome.
one.
Okay, I'll add a success. And I will buy 2 extra. What is my DC?
The difficulty, they have stopped their attack for the moment because of what Kyle did. I was reading up on spaceships and Star Combat last night. You can ask Alice, because that was one that I had no idea on, and I'm like, this might really come down to a space battle at some point. If
that's what Ginny's for.
The rich.
So let's go with a second on that difficulty of 5 here.
Okay, I'm going to spend 3 momentum then to get all 5 dice. Let's see. Anything I want to select?
Isn't it 6 momentum? Does it go up? That's a question I have.
No.
Is it 1, then 2, then 3 for 6 total to get 3 extra dice?
Well, so she gets a free extra die, and I count that as the last die added.
Okay.
So
yeah, it's always the last.
1 momentum for the first, 2 more momentum for the second, 3 more momentum for the third.
Yeah.
So but she'll spend 3 momentum, and we'll at that point roll her cap of 5 dice.
Yeah, if your powers give you a free die, that counts as the end and not the beginning.
I don't know if there's a rule. I believe in the one game that we played with, I had to pay the momentum for the bonus dice that I had already earned. I don't like that. Yeah. I'm like, you spent your feat. It's a talent in this game, but it's a feat to get that bonus die. Let's not raise up the more bonus dice.
I can't speak to my memory of the last Star Trek game we played, but having played other games of this engine, my memory is doing it at the end, was the way that the other GM had dealt with that. So, I have 1-1. I have 3.
Hold on, one thing. Okay. Kanar, if you did want to chance that your veteran status again, I would definitely say that your speech was doing honor to those who came before.
Oh, okay. Heck yeah.
All right. So, Alice, he gave you 2 successes.
Awesome.
And let's roll that challenge die, which... Oh. You're like the only challenge die roller that we've had all game.
It keeps hitting the floor. Hang on. He's a stud. He still has that determination point.
He doesn't like when it rolls the first time, so he knocks it on the floor.
I do. When I move my elbow like this, that's what I'm doing.
How do we lose? On what number do we need to roll on the determination die? By the way.
There's the fact that he's a veteran and he's the only veteran on your crew. They get a special talent that allows them to burn their determination.
Oh yeah.
Roll the challenge die and possibly keep it.
Yep, I remember that now. I remember that.
1/3 of the time they will keep it.
I forgot about that power. Okay, so anyways, I have a 1, and then I have 3 successes and 1 failure there. So I have 5 on the dot before his assist. So I have 7 successes. So 2 banked momentum at the moment. We'll see where that goes. So I succeed on the DC.
Comboing with the The Doctor, the fact that they're able to understand these strange species, the promise that they'll be able to understand more. Mistakes have been made. We're not saying it's your fault. We're not saying it's their fault.
Yep.
They are effectively willing to come to a bargaining table.
Great. And we will set up hailing frequencies to, since the Doctor's been working to make sure that we can actually communicate with them down there, and set that up so that we have a 3-way conference call through our ship. And
well, the problem that you've got is whether they go to war or not, their planets are already swinging at each other.
I know, which is why I said I sent Gibbs and I sent Jimmy down to engineering. So why don't you cut to their scene and see what they can do? I also said that if we need to use the engines of both parties, via ships and such, because we need the powers of other ships to help us as a team move one of the planets. I did mention that in my statement.
And all form the head.
Yep, all form the head, sure. So
it all feels very Kirkian.
Yep.
Like we're making promises of like wars and ships and you must work together. Like now, quick, can we actually do that? Is that actually?
I'm playing to my values here. I'm playing to my values. I have emotions guide action. Huh? Sorry.
Isn't that the essence of Star Trek?
Yes, exactly. And I'm playing to my values. I have emotions guide action, which is exactly what I've been doing. Experience is knowledge, whether yours or others. Hope for the best, prepare for the worst. And then the last one I haven't really been like. All I ask for is a tall ship and a star to steer her by. So I guess I'm going to be steering her because I'm going to be steering her right into moving a planet. So there we go. Triggered the last one.
It's that sense of adventure that
And
you're going after with that last one,
Yes.
And once again, if Captain Kirk taught us anything, it's that he can blow up or have sex with anything in the universe at his discretion.
Oh dear. Well, so
That's
why don't you
good.
see if Jimmy and if Gibbs and Jimmy can do something down in engineering?
Okay, so the two of you rush down to engineering. The engineering department is kind of a wreck from the strikes that they've been dealing with on the shields since you guys got to the system, and then all the gravimetric problems, the distortions that have been going on since a planet ripped its way out of nowhere. So things are kind of a mess down there. The engineer is just trying to keep the ship going, and so it's all on you two.
Awesome.
They got
Well,
this.
Jimmy, what do you think we should do?
Obviously, we should tractor ropes around the planet through a bunch of different ships, and then if we just adjust the technobabble enough, it will allow us to slingshot it.
I was thinking about modifying one of our quantum torpedoes to see if we could launch it into the space-time continuum rip and seal it.
Whatever you do, you have to reverse the flow.
Reverse the dithium crystals.
Dilithium's right. I typed that wrong.
Dilithium.
I typed it wrong
So-
because I'm old.
Dilithium.
Do we make a check to see if that technobabble can work, or?
I heard a lot of insert technobabble here and only a little bit of the actual technobabble.
So you have to actually technobabble for Brandon to give you technobabble.
Which one are you guys doing? Are you guys going to try to close the rip, which would leave the Krox stranded here with those planets in close proximity, or what? Because
That's
that was
probably
one of the
bad
things.
news. That's probably a bad idea.
Though
Well,
they
They have
have
to
not
rip each
seemed
other apart.
they have not seemed to be fans of where they have been our prison kept.
Yeah, but there's a lot of info we should know talking to them first before we decide how, when, and why to. Oh, that's something. Doctor down on the surface, has he been able to determine how long these attacks go? Does the planet pop in and then it's going to pop right back through the rip in an hour, or is that how long do these attacks last?
Several days.
Okay, we've got time. Let's
Yeah.
find a way to pull the planets apart from each other, and then we can slowly figure out how to close rifts and things like that.
Awesome. Let's do it. Do we have tractor beams in our universe?
Yes.
Tractor beams, yes.
Okay.
Okay.
You guys have a strength
we
5
triangle?
tractor beam.
if we triangulate the tractor beams and reverse the dilithium crystals, then perhaps we can start a resonating quantum field that will allow us to envelop the entire planet in a gravitational pull and allow us to slingshot it through with a proper quantum mechanical algorithm out, around, and therefore put them into a stable orbit that will not attack each other.
It's getting a little thick in here, don't you guys think? But it works! So,
Jimmy, I think they hired a good actor for you to be the guest star. I didn't know David Tennant was in Star Trek.
No, you might have got a bonus die if you used that in a Scottish accent. I'm not sure.
Oh, I can do that. I am trained in that.
you know, guys, if hero points were a thing in this game, I would have passed several out around the table at different points. Determination takes a little bit more to earn. The power of determination. All right, so who and what is going on where to accomplish Ensign Jimmy's plan?
I'm assisting Jimmy with his engineering check.
Oh, my engineering sucks. You do it, and I'll assist you.
Jimmy's assisting me with his engineering check.
Is this engineering or is this science that Jimmy was spouting?
Science!
Engineering. I have a higher point there. Really, I designed this guy around being a pilot and a fighter. His skills are piloting. His science is 1. I don't know why I'm techno-babbling all this.
I'm just glad you had a moment of lucidity, Jimmy.
Now I'm right back to gun or something.
Come on, epic. You've got 7 momentum in the pool. You guys can use it.
Jimmy's got this. He's got this.
Yes.
I
It's
am
an
like,
epic ending.
all of a sudden, to me, down there in engineering, amid the madness, it's actually not these two, Federation officers. It's 2 mice, one of which goes, "Narf!" And he, all of a sudden, you're like, what do we do? What do we do, Pinky? And then he comes out with all this blah, 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 and you're like, why, yes, that's what we do. Narf, okay,
Pinky.
brain.
Come on, use our 7 momentum and rock this roll.
Okay, well, I roll my assist die, and I make it.
You can
I rolled a 6.
Cool. You can use momentum to roll extra dice on assists as well. So.
No.
No, you can't.
I
I
don't
thought you
think
could. Okay, never mind. I apologize for that. Never mind. So, Gibbs.
Don't rules quote me on that, but I don't
Okay.
think so.
We'll skip it for the moment. Tom, Alex, what are you doing?
Yes.
How many dice are you taking from the pool?
This seems important, so I'll just take... Can I add 3 dice? Is that cool?
Yep.
All
Yeah,
Okay.
take 6. There's
Take all
1
the dice.
momentum left.
1 left on the pool.
So,
And you are using the ship.
Yes. Get
What
the
are
ship.
your values, sir? Maybe we can tag in determination for you.
teamwork makes the dream work, and voice of the crew. Since Ensign Jimmy is a supporting character, do I get that for giving him a platform to excel at?
By all means, I think that either one of those values would be excellent here. So you only need to pay 3 momentum, so 4's left in the pool. You can burn your determination, which would give you a phantom d20, so you're still only rolling 4 for yourself, but that d20's already rolled a 1.
Yeah.
So you're
Okay.
at 3 successes, counting Jimmy.
And then the white one for the ship. So 4 dice for me and 1 for the ship, or
Yep.
4 dice
Yep.
total?
4 dice for you and 1 for the ship. And this would be, let's see, structure, engine, computers, weapons, sensors. Basically, you guys are repurposing weapons here to try and help, as I remember, with tractor beam or something technology.
Yeah.
Is that accurate, or would it be more engines because I heard slingshots and such like that?
I think tractor beam primarily.
And engineering, let's say.
Also, you guys are going to believe this, but I rolled 4 6s and a 7.
Nice! Pinky
You know,
and the brain.
that is 5 successes there, plus the 3 that you guys already had going. And you guys are able to do everything that was just discussed. The only thing that I'm going to say is Ensign Jimmy is a little behind the times because dilithium crystals I don't think are used in modern warp cores. So, but, I mean, you can only expect so much from Ensign Jimmy. And
Kyle didn't correct him.
yes, you guys are able to get that and create the pull on the planets to tear them apart and create separate orbits around the sun in the solar system. And you have brokered a peace between these two races that time in the Q, the gods in the Q continuum have decided that they should be at war just cause every once in a while, and brought on a beautiful day for the Federation, to say that they did this.
Woohoo!
Way to go, guys!
And they're in our debts. Yay!
I have to add, I pictured the dilithium crystal thing coming from all those how-to videos he watched from Montgomery Scott.
Yeah.
Maybe Jimmy was just doing lines of those strange space rocks that you guys had brought on for samples.
Well, before we fade to black, why don't we do a quick debrief and give some quick feedback.
Pick on the new guys first.
Yes. So, Alex, you go first. You've been the quietest.
Just
what you liked, what you didn't like, and if you liked
system or me or us. Time for kudos and time for this didn't work for me.
Yep.
Yeah, no, I really like the system. It was it plays to my strengths of never being able to roll above a 10 on a d20, which I really appreciate. I really liked that. I really liked that there was no combat. I liked that there was the option for combat, but it felt very Star Trek to find an alternative solution to the issue.
Mm-hmm.
And it felt like there was a wider world out there. It didn't feel like a limited sort of space, even though we didn't go to a lot of locations. I really enjoyed it. I'm usually a Star Wars guy, but I had a lot of fun with this too.
Awesome. And what about you, Adam?
I have never actually played in a system that allowed for narrative mucking about. I know I've heard of Fate, I've heard of a lot of stuff, but I've never had the chance to play them. I find it interesting how this game encourages. I know there's different levels of how much should the PCs be able to influence more like the game master's job. But through the asking of questions and adding in complications and stuff, I found it very interesting how that played out. And the fact that you actually have to techno-babble your way around things. So I would love to try this out another time or three to figure out how it feels to play more than just a one-time experience. Because I've never played a system that tried this before.
Well, we definitely are up for doing that with you. Awesome.
I think that it should definitely play into your background that we were discussing the other day on Banff, of being an actor. So,
My dream is one day to be on Critical Role. They will find me and go, "That man, bring him on."
Awesome. Kevin, what about you?
Well, first of all, it was an absolute blast to meet the two of you and play with you. I'm constantly marveling at the people I meet since Alice and Brandon invited me into the asylum. As I said to Brandon earlier, I'm just a really old Canadian who's gamed forever. That's my whole credentials. So
those are good credentials.
Back to the system. I love the narrative. I've played a fair number of narrative games. I like this because I know some people struggle with some of the other narrative games and the open-endedness is the wrong term. I think this has more skeletal structure in some of the rules, which I think is great. But still invites the players to get creative with the system and see what happens.
Alice, what about you?
I had a blast. Playing the EXO this morning, I was a little bit, I don't know, I just didn't find the voice that I was hoping for by comparison. I think that my brain was all working on, like, being an engineer this morning because I had a bunch of technobabble in my brain. I'm like, nope, wrong character. But that happens. Some days are like that. I had a lot of fun. I enjoyed the system. I have played other games with this base engine. I think it is an interesting way of keeping some crunch in the system while playing to Fate and Powered by the Apocalypse engine features in some of it, because some of the aspects and some of the value systems, the way that some of it works is has relations to some of those games, but I think it's definitely a bit crunchier, which is something that that I always gravitate towards. And I had a blast playing with you guys, so I look forward to playing with you guys more. Brandon.
Thank you.
You guys were such a joy to GM for. It was fantastic. For the first 2 hours, we once again we tangentially touched on anything that I had prepared, but just listening to you guys madhouse romp through talking to people and waiting for Cthulhu to show up to devour you all was really fantastic. Running the game is really easy in comparison to a lot of games. There's definitely, and I'm not saying I ran everything right, but we had a game that followed certain rules, and we kept those rules going throughout. Basically, we did not change and say, oh, this didn't work at all. You guys were able to come up with that non-violent Federation solution. This game, in fact, if you ever roll to kill somebody, you add a die to the threat pool immediately. And so every attack you can choose to set phaser to stun or set phaser to kill type of thing. And so it definitely does not want just to say, okay, sooner or later, the solution is going to be fire photon torpedo spread. And you guys went out with that Federation style and found a way to go about this. My notes ahead of time were that, there was this planet isolated, like I talked about, the nebula and the heavy asteroids, and there was another planet that would come from basically nowhere every once in a while and just destroy crud because of it. So the exploding space rocks were not at all in there. The description of the lithoderms came because of that. Basically, everything came out of those early things, and these might be exploding minerals and such. And so a lot of the flavor of the game would be totally different with a different group. Just having that little bit. I had such a great time. It fits perfectly with the notes that I fit. But that was a skeleton, and here we had a fully fleshed episode. Thank you all. It was a real pleasure to run for you guys this morning.
And
Thank you.
Thank you.
Well, always a pleasure. I'm going to add, too, because I've only played this twice before. But me and my group sat down and did a character creation system, and diving into the life path system, you get characters that don't end up where you thought they were going to go, but by following a life path system, and it's fantastic.
That's life.
And,
Yeah.
and something I also want to bring up, just one quick last thing. The entire theme of the game seemed very much to be tangential, even the near collision tangential on that.
Actually, the theme of the game, we are playing on Leap Day, and that is where the idea came. Is something that happens only rarely and kind of comes out of nowhere type thing. And so I was at work at the hospital, and just like, I realized we were going to literally play it on Leap Day, and so then that's where my brain started churning over ideas
awesome.
from there.
Very
That's
cool.
awesome.
Very cool, Brandon.
Well, thank you all for watching. See you next time on Babies with Knives. Bye, everyone.
Yeah, everyone.
Adios.